I moved a named old girl into my spare bedroom, ended up punching me in the face and helping steal my car. So when I was 26, I had my first major manic episode, and that's when everything changed. So I was whacked out on substantial substances, courtesy of my favorite dealer, Ciroc Poppy.
You moved Ciroc Poppy into your house?
Moved him into my spare bedroom, yeah.
With
She's in my room.
Of course.
Then he introduces me to David, which is this addict who tells me he's a lawyer.
So you think you've got an in-house legal team right under
I've got
your
a lawyer,
roof.
I've got
You got everything you need right at your fingertips the moment you wake up.
This is where the crime stuff starts now.
Oh boy.
It was basically healthcare fraud. That year I made over $500K. Dude, there's FBI agents all over your office. So did some and I was like, I got to destroy the evidence. That's 3.7 million is what the government said my loss amount was.
It got even worse than this financially?
Well, when I buy the nightclub, I bought a nightclub later.
Oh,
and
God.
then
Yeah, we have a lot to get to. Yeah, your story is interesting to me because you have like literally everything. I mean, you have the drug use, the mental health, the legal issues that you've been through, the relationship issues that you've talked about openly. I mean, aspects,
we can talk about all of it.
It's all out there, you know. And the way that I had first found you is I was scrolling through Instagram reels and I saw one of your reels about your former dealer named Ciroc Poppy.
Yep.
And the way you worded it, I'm just like, this is hilarious. Like, what do you mean your dealer's named Ciroc Poppy? Like, you seem like a dude who would like be my banker or something.
Yeah,
you know?
People say, I thought you were accountant or something. Yeah. The glasses definitely makes it worse. But.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you're a clean cut dude.
Yeah,
but
I don't look like a guy that's gotten involved. Well, neither do you either, though.
Yeah, I know, and that's
so
kind of
neither one
why
of us do.
when I listened to your story, I was so interested in it because I was like, this guy has a trait that not many other people have, and I relate to that. I have no tattoos. I'm a fairly clean cut white guy, and you're the same way where people view that, like the cops view that. They don't think we're committing crimes.
Right.
And here we are doing the worst shit ever.
Yeah.
So, for everyone watching at home, first and foremost, welcome back to the Gobcast. Thank you all for tuning in today. Episode 70-something. I lose count every episode. I couldn't tell you where we're at, but in the 70s is all I know. Now, today, we have a very special guest. And how do I say your last name before I butcher it?
Funes.
Okay. So we have a very special guest, and a guest whose public manic binges were so intense that they led him to author the book Manic in Miami right here on the table, and also landed a full-on People article about it. We have David Funes at the table, which I got to say, first and foremost, thanks for flying all the way out, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Now,
I'm excited about the show.
One of the things that, as we were just talking about before we started really getting into it here, that really fascinated me about your story is you seem like you've been through it all. I mean, you've had legal issues, you've had mental health issues, you've had issues, and you've had relationship issues, and they've all kind of intertwined with each other. And that's absolutely insane that they got so bad that you ended up being able to write a book about it and then having a People article about it. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into it, for everyone who's maybe not heard of you before, anyone who's tuned in that hasn't seen your book or seen your Instagram reels, I mean, what is your story? Like, how did you come to write this book and get this article?
Yeah. Do you want me to start more at the beginning or just kind of how this happened?
Just like the title of this article actually sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
And the title of the People article, in quotes, is "I cheated on my wife, let my dealer move in, and broke the law, all while manic due to bipolar disorder." That sounds like you had quite an event. You had quite a time.
Yeah.
What I'm curious is like, what came first, the drug use or the mental health issues, or like what?
Yeah, the mental health came first, and it's probably very surprising when you hear all that about me because I'm from a very conservative Christian family.
Yep.
And I actually went to Bible college to become a minister.
Really?
Yeah. Well, my parents were very strict, and they basically gave me two options. They said, you either go to Bible college or you go into the military, because my stepdad was in the military. And I was like, hell no, I do not want to go in the military, because I kind of already had that being raised. I had to make my bed with hospital corners and, iron my shirts with no wrinkles.
Really?
So I was like, yeah, I was really strict. So I was like, no, I'm not going that route. But yeah, when I was 20 years old in Bible college, I had my first depressive episode, my first major depressive episode. And that's where it all started. That came out of nowhere, though. I had like nothing wrong in my life. And all of a sudden I went from, being a straight A student, doing well in school, to starting to fail everything. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was didn't want to talk to my friends. This just deep, dark depression engulfed me. And honestly, it was super scary because, it came out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about depression, and I had no idea when it was going to go away. So that was my first episode. And bipolar, it's called bipolar because there's two poles. There's the depression, and then there's the mania. But mine started with that first depressive episode.
So prior to you being 20, you hadn't had any episodes that you consider notable?
No, and it's actually pretty common for people to have their first episode right around that same age, around that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right.
So you grew up, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, a pretty normal childhood where you were doing good in school?
So normal in that regard, but not really normal.
Okay.
I guess we could start with my very first memory because it's kind of traumatic, and trauma plays a lot into bipolar. So my first memory, I was 4 years old, and I was in my living room, and my dad was actually strangling my mom in front of me. That's my very first memory. I guess she had locked him out of the house. He was drunk. He may have been on. He was an occasional addict. But he broke back into the house and he was strangling her in front of me, and I'm like yelling for him to stop, and it's forever etched in my memory. Yeah, it's something like that will be seared in your memory. So that's how my childhood started. So it wasn't all strict at first. My mom and dad, were together a while, but my dad kept cheating on my mom until she finally had enough. She told him. The biggest thing was bringing into the house because she didn't want us to be taken away. So she said, if you bring in the house again, we're gone. He brought her to his dealer one time when he was messed up, and brings him back to the house. Next morning, she packed up and we left, and that was basically
sounds like
it.
Pretty much all you remember of him is just his addiction.
No, that's the tough part. He was mostly gone with his friends. Like he disliked to party all the time. But when he was around occasionally, he did try to make up for it by teaching us to play baseball, buying us baseball cards, shooting slingshots, taking us, to the river and trying to catch crawdads and stuff. So he tried to make up for it in his own maybe twisted way because he was like never around. But he would. Yeah. So I was very confused growing up with what love was because, what little he was around, he tried to shower us with affection. But when he, was gone most of the time. So I was like really confused about what love really was.
And after, he had left your life, how had things changed? Did it change your living situation or change how life is going for you?
Yeah, that's when things kind of went that strict route. So my mom, first of all, we moved to another city. My mom was working 3 minimum wage jobs because my dad wasn't paying child support most of the time. So that went on a couple years. Then my mom met my stepdad, got married, moved to South Dakota. And that's when they found one of those very religious churches. And, my life kind of changed at that point. Because my parents were pretty normal before that, but they joined this. It's called like an independent fundamental Baptist church.
Ooh, that sounds serious. Yeah. I'm not, but that sounds very serious.
Yeah. So like our church, for instance, believed women couldn't wear pants. Like it was somehow against the Bible, and a bunch of things like that. Like even Christian.
What would they wear if it couldn't be pants?
Well, there were these things called culottes. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're like these they're half shorts, half skirts. So like when you're playing sports, you'd wear these very baggy, like half shorts, half skirts as a girl.
It's supposed to be like looser on them?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Probably the funniest one was when my stepsisters, went skiing. They made them wear the culottes over their ski suit. So
really?
It looked hilarious.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And what would happen if, like, per se, a girl didn't wear that or they didn't follow the rule? Is there like a punishment?
They'd have to go home, or get detention or demerits or whatever. Yeah,
that's serious.
Yeah.
And growing up with that, I mean, that obviously it sounds like kept you away from bad behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I was a very straight and narrow, like good kid. Actually,
Mhm.
probably of all I was the oldest of. There was five of us between my two stepsisters and two brothers. Yeah, I was one of the best behaved. I was just scared of getting in trouble. So I didn't drink at all in high school. I never had a girlfriend, and part of that's my own fault. I was super nerdy in high
Mhm.
school. I was the runner up junior state chess champion
Oh,
when I was 15.
nice.
Yeah. So total nerd, and yeah, girls didn't like me anyway.
The only time I played chess myself was when I was in rehab. I got
Oh,
really good
okay.
at it.
They do have chess in most rehab places.
And then they got out in jail too. I have rehab. And then I got out and I never played chess again. But like, how did you get so good? Did you just play a lot or were you?
I think I have an addictive personality, which comes out later with the other
Mhm.
stuff. But whenever I get obsessed about things, so yeah, I got very obsessed about chess, and that's really, I think the big part is I wasn't allowed to be like other kids. I couldn't really watch any TV shows, movies. So
Mm.
and then we were in this like tiny private school. It was a double wide trailer
The
with
whole school?
20 kids in the whole school, from kindergarten to 12th grade.
What happened at lunchtime? Like, can't be-
There was a few high schoolers, a handful of them. But even then, like, yeah, they would talk about movies and music and things I wasn't allowed to do. So I think that's another reason I got addicted to chess. Is it's like an
Okay.
escape where I didn't feel embarrassed. It was something I was good at, and not.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed to be around other kids and not be able to partake in conversations.
So you're going through, you made it all the way through high school, it sounds like K through 12 at this very strict kind of religious school. What happened when it was time to go to college?
Yeah, again, this is a very strict college that I went to. Also, it's called Pensacola
So you
Christian.
continued the kind of strict
Yeah.
religious schooling all the way through college as well.
I did because yeah, I had that depressive episode at 20,
Yep.
but I didn't have my major manic episodes till later. So I got married when I was 21. It was actually the first time either one of us had ever had sex. So it was one of those wait till marriage type things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you heard all that at the start, you would never think, that would be me, because
Yeah, completely different person.
completely different person.
So what switch flipped? What happened?
Okay. So when I was 26, I had my first major manic episode, and that's when
Okay.
everything changed. Just to give you an idea, I'd say I'd probably tried alcohol 5 times in my life, but I'd never been drunk at all.
You would just take a sip.
Yeah, because I kind of rekindled things with my real dad, and when I'd go to his house, he'd be like, "Hey, you've never had a beer? Try a beer. Or you've never had this or that." So that was like the only time I drank.
Do you remember what kind of beer he was giving you?
He liked Coors.
Oh,
So,
decent
yeah.
pick. Yeah.
He
Decent
lived in
pick.
Denver, so he's you gotta drink.
That makes
Coors.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so I didn't go into ministry though. I went into finance.
Okay.
And when I was in finance, that's when I had my manic episode, and it started out feeling good, and that's how I describe mania. It's fun until it's not. So at first
Interesting.
I got all this extra energy. I'm not needing to sleep a lot. I'm in the gym super early. I'm getting to work an hour early. I'm crushing it at work. Just
Mhm.
top salesperson there. So at first it feels really good, but then mine started getting worse. At first it felt good too because I got this crazy sex drive like I had never had
Yeah.
before, and that's where things really went.
Sounds
south.
like you maybe felt like you had just evolved or something. You
Yeah,
were
I
so
felt-
productive and
Yeah, I felt like a superhuman, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, honestly, I did. Yeah. And that's kind of how mania can feel.
Mhm.
And with that, became a ton of confidence and like grandiose beliefs in myself. So, dude, I was shy around girls. I'd only been with my ex. When I was 26, I'd only been with one person. But this confidence went through the roof with my mania. And that's where I really messed up. There's a girl at work that no one ever really showed me interest. I was a late bloomer, basically. But yeah, this girl started flirting with me at work. We went to drinks. It was my first time when I was 26. Is the first time I ever got drunk. Like we
Really?
were drinking margaritas at a Mexican restaurant, and yeah, I was gonna go home afterwards, but then she called me. She's like, "Hey, I'm in a fight with my boyfriend. Can we get a hotel? I'll make it worth your while." And I should have been driving home to my wife, obviously, but the sex drive just, I don't know, took over, and
So the drugs weren't even involved in
No,
this
no,
point.
no
This
drugs.
is purely just a
Yeah.
manic episode, it sounds
Yes,
like, right?
manic episode, no drugs yet.
Wow. And, you know, when in your mind that just manic episode and that sex drive took over, you're not thinking of any regret. You're not thinking about your wife at all. You're just like,
No.
I'm on the way.
The way I describe mania for me is it's almost like a hedonistic, pleasure-seeking behavior without really thoughts of consequences. So yeah, I didn't even think about that until later. I felt a lot of shame later. But yeah, at the time, I was like, okay, I got to do this. So yeah, we got a hotel, and you know, I feel terrible about it, but I cheated on my ex, you know, with that girl.
And it sounds like that was a real like escalation of the manic episode.
Oh,
Prior
yeah.
to that, you were just waking up early and, you know, alive more, maybe
Yeah.
it sounds like. But this was, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the first thing you did that was really fucked during that episode.
Yes.
How quickly did things continue to escalate after that?
So the next day I went home and told my wife what I'd done, and I packed up and left. So I didn't try to lie about it. But once I did that, I would say, like, you know, the floodgates were open, and I was just like, I'm going to just
I already
party.
came clean about it.
Yeah. I got drunk for my first time. I hooked up with someone else, and I was like, that's the life I want. So I basically moved out and started this whole new life. I wasn't doing drugs yet, but I went from never drinking to going out probably 6 nights a week and being out till 2 a.m. But because of the mania, I had this energy where I could still go to work and like perform at first, at least, until it just all goes downhill.
And in the moment, you didn't realize that you were manic.
No.
You just thought you would become a new man all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You
It's
just
like new
you
me,
would come
new,
over the
better
hill
me.
or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now, when you're hooking up with these other girls, when did the drug use start after that?
Okay, so, and even right away, it wasn't easy for me to hook up. Like I had no game at all at first.
Yeah.
I stumbled onto that first situation.
Were the girls coming on to you at that point?
Not. I started. This sounds so stupid. This is back in the day. I'm a little older than you, so I was reading those books on game, like the pickup artist books. And, yeah.
And they worked, it sounds like, though.
Well, eventually, if you go out 6 nights a week and have this confidence where you can hit on everyone, you're gonna get some base hits
For
and
sure.
eventually home runs.
Yeah, I think any guy could do it if they just try hard enough, you know?
Well, with the caveat also of the confidence that the mania gave me, because if you obviously if you go out there and you're not really talking to people, it's not gonna happen. But
For sure.
I had enough confidence that it started working every once in a while and then progressed. But I think the next crazy thing that happened, though, I'll get to that beforehand because it's kind of wild and shows another part of mania. I met this foreign nanny. They're called au pairs.
Okay.
And living in Florida at the time, and I somehow started hanging out with all the foreign nannies hang out together. There was like at least 30 of them that hung out from all different countries. And I started dating this Mexican au pair, and I'm still married, mind you, and she doesn't know that. I'm starting the divorce process, but she tells me that I think we've been dating 2 months, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna have to go back to Mexico if unless when we get married. So I was like, okay, let's get married while I'm still married.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. This is just a few months later, a few months after the separation. So I fly to Mexico with her, and I practiced my broken Spanish, and I asked her mom and her brother permission to marry this girl, because that's another thing about bipolar mania is you fall in love very fast. This happens a lot throughout my mania. You'll see, but so we're like ring shopping while I'm still married. In my head, I think I was like, oh, by the time we actually get married, I'll be divorced. But that's where I had my worst depressive episode, which in a way, I guess, stopped me from being even more stupid in my mania.
Been a good thing at the time.
Yeah. Well, but then the problem was this is when I this is the darkest part that I had, and I'm allowed to talk about like suicide.
You can talk about whatever you want.
You can talk
bro.
about suicide.
You can talk about whatever you want
Okay,
on this show.
okay.
This show is fucked up.
Okay,
So,
all right. we'll keep it fucked up.
you can talk about whatever you want on here, dude.
Okay. So, man, at that time, things got really dark. This was a way worse depression than I'd been through. And all I could think about was ending my life. And it wasn't that I wanted to die. I was like this mental pain I was going through with the depression, tons of anxiety. And even though you want to be in bed all day, I couldn't sleep for some reason either. So that was really making my thinking off.
Sounds unbearable.
Yeah. So I lived near work, and on my lunch break, I would go home and stand in my garage and try to, get up the courage to, flood my garage in my car with carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
I had some sleeping pills that I, would pour in my hand a bunch of times. Thankfully I never went through with it, obviously, since I'm still here. But finally, after a while of doing that, I had this moment of clarity, and I was like, I don't know what to do, but I have to do something.
Yeah.
So I packed a bag and drove to the nearest mental hospital, and I was scared going in there. I didn't know if I went in there, if I was ever going to come out. I was scared, but I was like, I'd rather be here than dead.
Yep.
So I went in there. They took a bunch of shit out of my bag. They're like, you can't have your razor. You can't have, shoestrings or the hoodie strings and all that.
Yeah, you can't have shit in the psych ward.
No, so they took like a bunch of my stuff and then checked me in there. But that's where I was diagnosed with bipolar for the first time, because and it's the same as most bipolar people. We go to the doctor mostly when we're depressed. So they're like, oh, here's a SSRI or an antidepressant, when we really also need like mood stabilizers typically and things like that. So I finally got diagnosed by that psychiatrist, because he was like, tell me everything that's going on. Oh, this is all out of character. You cheated. You're trying to get married while you're still married. You're blowing through money. You're partying every night. Once I explained all that, he's like, okay, and I finally had that diagnosis. I guess that was like 7 years probably after my first depressive episode.
And getting that diagnosis had to feel pretty insane at that point for you, right? I mean, going through life and not knowing something was wrong to all of a sudden this guy telling you you're bipolar. How's that feel?
I would say for me, it was, some people are scared I was obviously a little scared, but I was kind of relieved that I had a name, for whatever was going on. I think that did give me a little bit of relief. I was like, okay, I'm not just this crazy person that has no diagnosis. And because I had a diagnosis, I was like, okay, so there's medications for this. So honestly, I was more relieved than anything else, I think, at that time.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to that, you effectively fucked your whole life up, it sounds like, I
fuck it up a lot more. This is
a
minor fuck up.
Even just
but yes,
on your
I've already
first
fucked it
major
up.
episode, you
Yeah.
fucked your life up,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
fucked your relationship up.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd already mentioned your wife, initiating the divorce, it sounds like, but leading up to that divorce, kind of taking it back a little bit, what was your wife saying while you're going out and doing this stuff? How was she reacting to all this?
Well, I wasn't doing all that beforehand. Remember, because that first night that I got drunk was the night I cheated on her. So she really only saw the confidence and some of those changes in behavior, because I wasn't out partying and drinking yet till after I left her. So she was confused about, I was definitely acting different. I didn't tell you, I bought a third vehicle. Because spending sprees are a big part of mania. So I bought a third vehicle. I was trying to buy a second house. And so she was like, "What? We don't need all these. Like, what are you doing? We don't need this stuff." And I'm like, buy. So she definitely saw, she saw some erratic behavior, but she didn't see like the drinking or that all came afterwards.
Do you remember when she first found out about you cheating?
Oh yeah, it's awful.
What happened there?
So I came back to the house after the night with that girl, and basically, she asked me where I was, and I told her, and she just started bawling. And dude, this is gonna make me sound bad, but I'm gonna just be honest about what bipolar is like. I didn't really feel any remorse at that time. I kind of didn't feel much anything. I just packed my stuff and left. After I came out of that manic episode, I felt terrible. And us bipolar people deal with a lot of shame. I think talking to other bipolar people, that's one of the biggest things we struggle with is shame from the things we do when we're manic. We just, do some things that we totally regret, and they're very shit things, and I can't ever fix that. And I'm, very sorry for it. But yeah, at the time I wasn't, to be honest.
I mean, that's got to be incredibly hard to deal with when you start looking back on the things you did when you were manic as you're bipolar, and realizing that like that's not really you, but you still did it. I mean, how do you internalize that?
The hardest part about, and if a lot of people don't understand this, because even like when I post about a lot of this stuff, most people give me good comments, but some people give me hate. But I think the hardest thing, if you talk to other bipolar people, they'll tell you this: we don't always know what's us and what's the disease afterwards, because everything you're going to hear that I did from here afterwards is so out of character.
Yeah.
But I do take I have to take responsibility for it. And I've tried where I could to apologize and make amends, but I really don't know what I would have done and not done if not for the disease. And that's a scary thing, and it's something that I'll always have to live with,
Yeah. And kind of jumping back to when you had mentioned you first went to the psych ward and gotten diagnosed.
Yeah.
As you're going through, how long were you in there before you got released?
I think 4 or 5 days is about what it was. It wasn't because he put me on a depression med called Seroquel that's meant for bipolar people.
Yep, I've heard of that.
So and it helped me sleep. So I felt good enough afterwards. And then he's like, "Hey, when you get out, we're gonna put you on something for your mania." And that's when he put me on lithium. I think it was that he put me on for my mania. But I hated it because it made me like feel like a walking zombie, really a shell of myself.
I've heard that about a lot of those kinds of drugs. A lot of them make you feel like a zombie. The drugs that give people for, bipolar, for example.
Yeah, you got to find the ones that work for you. But mental health is so hard because what works for me is going to be totally different for the next person.
Everyone's completely different.
Yeah.
You never know. So once you had gotten out after that 4 or 5 days, how did things go after that? Were you stable for a while, or?
Very shortly, because I stopped taking the lithium and I got thrown right back into another manic episode. And so now we can start talking about the drugs. So during the manic episode, that was my first time I tried drugs. And that was Molly. I did Molly at
It's a fun first drug.
Yeah, skip the weed entirely.
Yeah, fuck that.
I was always
you had never smoked weed up to that point?
No.
What? Your first ever drug you did was Molly?
Yeah, when I was 27, I think. Yeah,
that's one of the most insane things I've ever heard on this podcast, I think. Yeah,
dude, I did coke before I tried weed.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was never. You
got right to business. I mean, you said fuck the weed.
And when I did try weed, I hated it. I was strictly an uppers guy. Like I like party drugs. When I tried, I didn't try weed until probably at least a couple years later, and it just never interested me. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. So your first time doing Molly, walk me through that. What was that like?
That's one of my manic in Miami stories. So I was in Miami at Club Live. David Guetta was playing.
It's an expensive place, dude.
Yeah. That's why I started doing crime later, so I could get VIP there.
God.
Sorry. Yeah, but there's probably a lot of criminals in Miami.
For sure.
Live,
yeah, you were shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of guys doing worse shit than you at that place.
Yeah, Miami's full of, and there's some good people in Miami, but dude, Miami has so
few and
much
far between.
shit.
I think
It's one of the shadiest cities.
Yeah, I've been to Miami a lot. My girl's from there, and I've spent a lot of time in Miami. It's an interesting place to be in small chunks.
For sure.
I don't want to be there more than a week. Yeah. Ladies and gents, let's take a moment real quick to talk about our good friends at Five, because they are hooking all of you watching this up with a free jar of gummies that contain 10 milligrams of green goodness per gummy. And all you guys have to do is check out the link below, go scroll down to the comments, enter your email to enter their little gummy giveaway where everybody's a winner. And these gummies are not your normal gummy. These are no artificial flavors involved in any of the gummies that Five makes, no artificial colors, and no GMOs used in the production of the gummies, which I'm not going to lie, as someone who eats fast food, none of that matters to me, but it might matter to you, which is why they want me to tell you about it. Now, no matter how much you care about all that stuff, everyone watching this should care about the 10 milligrams of green goodness per gummy. And if you're interested in that part, all you have to do is go claim your free jar below. Now remember, that's 10 milligrams per gummy, not per jar. That adds up pretty quick. Gets up to about 200 milligrams. But either way, go support Five, and shout out to them for supporting the show. Let's get right back to it.
So I lived in Jacksonville at the time.
Okay.
But a lot of my stories take place in Miami because it's a 5-hour drive, and that's where we just went crazy.
That's where all the
and
fun's
partied.
at. Yeah, you're making that trip.
Jacksonville kind of sucked. So
Yeah.
we. But this is an interesting story because it wasn't Molly necessarily. We thought it was Molly, but it was also something else. And
now you've got me intrigued. Fill me in here.
Okay. So things feel like I've done Molly a lot, so I know what it feels like. I had those sensory feelings at first. My friend Sarah was like touching my neck, and I was like quivering. The lights, the music, all those feelings.
Yeah, of course.
It feels great. But then all of a sudden, I lost touch with reality and became a menace, is how I describe it. So I was first of all trying to make out with everyone around me, guys, girls, and I'm straight, so that's first of all, that's not normal. Then I'm climbing into other people's VIP sections and just grabbing their bottles and chugging them while staring them down, is what I was told. Then afterwards,
you didn't get your ass beat for
this? I got kicked out, but I told my friends I'm gonna wander the streets, kill or be killed after that, and I don't talk like that. That's not. I'm not that kind of person.
Your primal instincts were coming out.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. So my friends all freaked out, and they because some of them were doing the drugs somewhere. And my other buddy had a crazy experience too. He ended up calling the cops calling the calling 911 because he was having a bad trip also, and he thought he was dying because he left the club in like a taxi and then called 911. So it wasn't just me having a bad trip, but yeah, so my friends locked me in my hotel room since I kept saying I was going to wander the streets, kill or be killed. Not a good thing to say.
Your friends saved your ass that night, maybe.
yeah. Good thing they weren't all trying it. They were babysitting me, basically. But so yeah, after that happened, we found out later. This was during the bath salts thing. I think it's like 2012 timeframe. But yeah, there was bath salts in the drugs, basically, too.
I've never done bath salts.
I didn't purposely do it.
That's just fascinating to me. You've done them, unintentionally. Still consumed them though.
That's probably why I was aggressive. But this was
sure.
This is right around that same time in Miami that did you hear about the guy that like ate the dude's face off?
Yeah. It was all over the news.
Yeah, this is right around that same time. So
it was popular back then.
Maybe it was just in the drugs back then. So I don't know. Hopefully I wouldn't have done that. I was saying kill or be killed, but I didn't try to bite anyone. So
you would have been that guy eating faces if they let you out of the hotel room that night.
Maybe. But yeah, someone told me later that it had bath salts. So I was like, fuck that. Kind of makes sense why I acted like that.
So it sounds like to me, your manic episode almost never really stopped. It just kind of went on hold for a minute.
It went on hold for a little bit, but yeah, when I came off the drugs, it went long. And different people that are bipolar have different lengths of episodes. Some people are rapid cycling, and they can switch very quickly. Mine were normally long, but the drugs made them last even longer. So not long after that, I'm still doing Molly and ecstasy, but I wasn't really addicted to those. That was more. I became kind of a raver, so I'm going to all the little music all the EDM festivals. But not long after that, I tried Coke, and that was the drug I really got addicted to.
Oh, you're telling me?
Yeah, I've watched some of your stuff, so I know that was your problem too.
That's a very seductive one, to say the least. Yeah. So, tell me about your first time trying to blow. How'd that play out?
So. Same friend that took me to Miami and I said was like massaging my neck or whatever. She was a pharmacist, so I was
a great friend to have.
Yeah, I was scared to try. To be honest, I was scared to try blow for a while. Just I don't know if you felt the same way. Just like putting something up my nose kind of scared me a little bit.
I was more so scared to spend the money on it.
Okay,
but putting stuff up my nose was no problem.
Okay, but yeah, she had someone that had blow. So I was like, okay, she's a pharmacist.
Mhm.
I'm gonna trust this recommendation and try it. And yeah, I just remember this euphoric rush when I did it. Just like this surge.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I yelled something and I was just probably
You
like
just
a
instantly had a
a-
release.
a Ric Flair woo or something. I don't know. But
That's how it is.
yeah, dude. It just made me feel like invincible. And with the Mania, I already had
Mhm.
pretty big confidence, but this made me like the most confident person out there. So I just love, and I didn't need to, I was already not needing to sleep. So it basically took my Mania to a whole nother level. But yeah, I just loved that rush of energy, and yeah, you understand how it feels.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you have to keep doing it to keep that feeling.
I mean,
but
at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people listen to guys like you and me talk about drugs like the way we are right now, and that some people might say we're glorifying it, but people don't do drugs because they suck. You know, people do drugs because they're fucking good.
they're fun at first.
That's why I tell people to never try them.
I ruined my life later because of them. But yeah, I people wouldn't do drugs if they don't love them at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, for a little while, it feels amazing, but then you're left chasing that same high the rest of your life, not getting it, and you can read all the stories and hear mine. Most of us blow up our lives eventually because of these things.
Now, one of the parts that I kind of haven't asked too much about yet is as you're going and doing all this manic stuff, you're going to these EDM festivals, you're trying all these drugs, you're partying a lot, going to Miami. What's happening in your personal life? I mean, where are you living? Where are you working? How are you affording this? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, I was still a financial advisor, but I was starting to get in trouble at work because I was doing blow in the bathroom. They didn't catch me doing blow in the bathroom, but they could tell I was fucked up. I mean, I'm doing blow in the bathroom in my car. I'm coming in disheveled because I'm like out all night.
Yeah.
I just looked like shit all the time. So I was definitely on the outs kind of with work, but I wasn't fired yet. But that was good timing for me because this is where the crime stuff starts now.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. So I met some party friends and they were making, these guys were getting like bottle service on weeknights, like several nights a week. And I made good money as a financial advisor, but I was like, I can't fucking party like these guys. So I was like, what are you guys doing? And it was basically healthcare fraud.
Oh boy. That's a fun gig.
Yeah, it's called pharmaceutical sales fraud is how I would describe it. And I can explain it to you if you want.
Please, yeah, run me through this.
Okay, so there's these things called compounding creams. Have you heard of those?
No.
So a compounding cream is a cream that has a bunch of ingredients kind of ground together into a cream. But you take these ingredients like prilocaine, lidocaine, gabapentin, but when you put them together, you can bill out a large amount of money to an insurance company. So I can't say the names of the people involved, but some of the higher ups, some of the higher ups at my work had figured out this way to put these creams together. And we weren't the only ones doing this. This happened a lot in Florida and other places too, but definitely in Florida. But when you put these creams together, they would bill out, most insurance companies had caught on, but TRICARE, which is the government's insurance, government can be a little slow to pick things up.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah, they were paying out full freight for these things. Well, what I mean by that is if you put these creams together as like a scar, pain, or migraine cream, you could bill these creams out for 10 to 20 grand a month to an insurance company. And they weren't that expensive to make. But when I say you bill them out, basically that's what the government would pay. So if we could get people to get these prescriptions or doctors to write them, we would get a cut of that. So let's just say someone got a $10,000 prescription. I was making 20% on that. So I could make $2,000 on sometimes $4,000 on the bigger ones that were written. So what we would do is we would target TRICARE people. So let's just say you were in the military or ex-military or your family was in the military.
Yep, I need some cream.
Well, you probably wouldn't want the cream. So you'd be like, I don't want this cream. I'd be like, what if I gave you $500 a month to go to the doctor and get this cream? And not most, but a lot of people, I was mostly asking people I already knew, but a lot of people would take $500 a month to go to the doctor and get these creams. And then I'd pocket the extra couple grand because like I said, I was pulling $2,000 to $4,000 off these.
Sounds like a great hustle.
Yeah, because you're getting the doctor to write a 6-month prescription typically. So, so I'd get that same 2 to 4 Gs on on each month, basically. And I probably had 20 to 30 people that I was at the end of it paying to go do this.
Wow.
And some people were also paying doctors. Obviously, you can make even more if you're doing that.
Yeah.
It can be a little sketchy because obviously if you approach the wrong doctor, you can get in trouble. But there were some people at my company making millions doing this.
I mean, a couple grand a person, dude.
Yeah, I was making...
Wow.
That year I made over 500K. I don't know like the exact amount, but it was over 500K, but some people were making in the millions that were paying doctors and all that. So yeah, I mean, I was making good money in finance, over 100K, but the over 500K took my life to a whole
When you're
different
going
level.
and partying in Miami,
Yeah.
over 100K is not much money.
Not really, no.
It's disgusting how much everything costs there.
Yeah.
So you're starting to make this good money. You're probably feeling insane in the brain at that point when you're pulling in 500 grand in a year.
Yeah, because I quit my job, my finance job. And so we had an office as kind of a front, but we didn't really work because all I'm doing is asking people to go get these. There's not a lot involved.
You just had to look like you had a legitimate business going on.
Yeah. So we would go to the strip club a lot at noon and we'd pop bottles at noon. And I remember the strippers.
They had good strippers at noon?
Not always, but maybe one or two. We were bored. There's nothing. What else is there to do? We're degenerate party people, There's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Go get the old strippers on the way out.
No, they weren't all old though. It's not as bad as you think, but the night ones are obviously better. But there were some cute ones sometimes. But I remember one of the strippers being like, "Who the fuck gets bottle service at noon on a Tuesday?" I mean, they were happy making money, but I just heard them make comments. I was like, "Dude, we must really be degenerates." But yeah, that the mania plus the drug use, I was having the time of my life, and that's when I started also just hooking up with girls left and right. I figured all that out by going out enough, had a lot of money, so it wasn't that hard anymore.
While all this is going on, was there ever any moment of clarity where you would sit and be like, this isn't what I want, or what am I doing? Or were you just constantly trapped in this manic cycle?
Yeah, I wasn't. So with the crime, I knew what it's hard to explain with the bipolar. I knew what I was doing, but I never looked into the consequences because in your mind, you can't be caught because you have this grandiose confidence and these ridiculous beliefs about yourself. So in my mind, I could never be caught. I was like the Roadrunner cartoon is how I would tell I would tell people, guy. I'm the Roadrunner. No one could ever, I can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's really what I thought basically. So honestly, during that period, I didn't think about consequences.
When did it start getting real? When did you start getting in maybe some trouble for this financial fraud?
Yeah. So in May of 2015, the FBI raided our office. Actually,
your office.
It was a legit. It was an office. We didn't do legit business, but yes,
you had an office.
Yes. Yeah.
And when the FBI raids you, how's that play out? What happened?
So it's interesting for me because I was actually driving on the way to work when it happened, and we had an insurance office across the hall, and my buddy worked there, and he called me. He's like, "Dude, there's FBI agents all over your office. They're grabbing shit. He said they were even looking through the ceiling tiles." I was like,
"Oh God!"
And I thought he was joking. I was like, "No, they're not.
Guys got to be tweaking."
Yeah, because again, in my mind, I never thought about consequence. I didn't even know the FBI could get involved in something like this, honestly. But he kept telling me, and I was like, "Fuck, okay." He's telling me the truth. So I spun my car around, drove home, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So did some coke, and I was like, I got to destroy the evidence. Yeah. So I put these boxes in my car, and I'm driving around to all these dumpsters and ripping up paper.
Spreading out the evidence.
Yeah. Outside Hooters, outside, wherever. I'm just ripping up paperwork, throwing shit away. And then just went back. I was like, I don't know what else to do. So I went back home, and my best friend, who was also working with me, he came to my house. He'd been at the office, and he basically told me what happened. They took all the computers, they questioned everybody, like took people's phones and stuff, and that's when me and my buddy we got a lawyer together because we were like, maybe it'll be cheaper to get a lawyer together, and we knew everything that was going on.
Lawyer real quick.
Yeah. So we got a lawyer, and this is when I realized like for real what I was involved in, because and I went from my mania to a depression real quick, as you can guess, because my lawyer said I was facing up to 7 years.
It's a long time.
Well, so the crazy thing is, it's not based on how much money I made. It's based on how much the government estimates that I cost them, and that's 3.7 million is what the government said my loss amount was.
It's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, because I was only making a percentage of the commission, so they base your sentencing like your guidelines on the loss amount, not what I actually made.
That's interesting. I never knew that, actually. Yeah. So when you had gotten in there, you realized I just lost the government $3.7 million. I'm fucked. What's going through your head as you're going through this trial? Are you like out on bond, or are you like, how does this work when the FBI raids you?
So the FBI raided the office, but we didn't get charged right away.
Okay.
So I fell into a deep depression, as you can probably guess. Like that, I think that
fucks your head up.
Even the people that weren't bipolar fell into depression. But so I'm depressed for a little while. Me and my buddy are like just day drinking at the beach bars, miserable. But then he's like, dude, we still have our money. Like, why don't we, we're depressed. You're depressed. Why don't we go to Vegas? And I was like, dude, maybe I could.
Amazing idea.
Maybe I can kick my depression.
So you go to Vegas on a quest to kick your depression.
Yeah,
and what's your plan when you get there?
Do the most possible drugs that anyone can do.
And leading up to this FBI arrest or FBI investigation and this trip to Vegas, would you consider yourself like an actual genuine drug addict? Were you addicted to these drugs, or were you more so just doing them out of being manic?
So the mania started the drug thing. So I think they both went together. But I do consider myself a coke addict still, because the
drugs kind of became their own beast.
Yeah, because even later on, and even when I was not manic, when I was depressed, I was still, using the coke. So
interesting.
Even now I would say I'm like, even now, like I'd be scared if you put me in Vegas or Miami, partying around that stuff. I would still be scared. I don't know if do you feel kind of the same if you were put in a certain situation? Like, I don't think I would do it, but I'm scared.
I think
to be
I could
put
handle
in
it.
I think I could, but I'm still scared, dude. Like, I don't know.
I think it's good to be scared.
Yeah.
I think for a while I was scared. I've been around coke since I got sober.
I have too.
I've been in those situations, and like, I think it's part of life. I don't think I can put myself in a situation where I'm never going to be around it again. It's just not realistic.
I think if the perfect storm happened though, where I was drunk.
Oh yeah.
Because like,
enough
if I was
vodka
sober,
crayons?
if I was so, I don't drink vodka. Enough. In Austin, we drink ranch waters.
Okay. Oh,
that's the
my
drink.
friend Jacob Jones recently introduced me to those.
Okay,
Those are pretty good, actually.
Yeah, and the hangovers aren't that bad.
That's
vodka cran would give. I was drinking a lot of vodka crans when I was first starting to party, but in my 20s I didn't get hangovers, so it didn't really matter. But now,
I'm starting to get hangovers now, and
they get worse and worse.
I know, bro. I'm 26 now. I think like 2 years ago I started getting them really bad, and now like I just have to brace for impact every time I get really drunk.
It only gets
bad.
worse.
I'm buckled up for the ride.
Yeah.
So
went to Vegas though.
Yeah.
And that's man, that was the hardest I've ever partied in Vegas. I've been to Vegas a lot, but my buddy went home after the third or fourth night because but I was doing a shit ton of drugs, and it kicked myself back into a manic episode. Like I wasn't even trying to necessarily go into a manic episode. I was just trying to go into stable or manic, whatever. I just didn't want to be depressed. But I had like a dealer on the strip that was super punctual. I think that was probably his turf on the strip, and he would just show up within like an hour or less.
What a great
typically.
guy.
Yeah, it's way more expensive there in Vegas.
Of course.
But so I'd be buying 8 balls nonstop. Had all that money, of course. So
How much were you paying a gram on the Strip?
on the Strip is back then. So this is in 2015. I was paying 100 a gram back then, but that's 10 years ago.
I mean,
So I don't
that's
know
a
what it would
lot back
cost now.
then, and
Yeah.
I mean, even now, it's like it's probably like $20 more now. It's probably like 110, 120 now. It's fucked up.
But it was cheaper than that, where I lived in
Of course.
Jacksonville. But yeah, on the Strip I was playing, and
Strip tax.
And there was probably other guys that had cheaper stuff, but I wasn't used to punctual dealers. So I was like, I will pay.
This guy's got customer service.
I will pay for the customer service.
Yeah.
But dude, I ended up staying out there 12 nights, actually.
That's like a year in Vegas.
It
Like
kinda is,
Vegas
yeah.
time is not real.
Yeah. My friends were worried I was going to die. And I did end up in the hospital. Why I ended up in the hospital is I had a VIP cabana at Marquee Day Club. And I have a picture of this I can even show you. But I tried to do a backflip off the cabana, but I hit the side of the pool. I have this big scar on my shin.
To this day, you have the scar.
Yeah. But like blood went everywhere. But I really didn't feel it because I was so fucked up. So they're like, you got to go to the hospital. I was like, no, bandage me up. I want to keep partying. And that got infected a few days later on and I did end up in the ER. And the doctor's like, you don't, because I had probably lost like 10 pounds by then too, because I'm on a Coke diet basically. So the doctor's like, you need to go home. This isn't good. Besides just your shin, you look, terrible. And I almost went to jail on that trip too, because I was, I think it was like by night 8, I was just fucked up. I was blowing lines off my table it was a Club Excess. They have like the outside tables.
Yep.
And I was just blowing lines off the table in front of everyone. And the cocktail waitress told on me. She should, obviously. But the bouncer was taking me out. And, he's like, I'm taking you to the cops. And I threw a Hail Mary. I was like, I saw an ATM machine. I was like, if I give you money from the ATM, will you not take me to the cops? And I ended up giving him $500 from the ATM. And
Deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Fucking deal.
Yeah.
110%.
I probably would have given him more than. I probably would have given him whatever I had to. But
You could ask for a
he said
grand,
500.
and I think
was like,
yep.
It's $500.
So when you gave him the $500, where did he just take you then?
He took me to the other side of the club, and he's like, "Do not go back over here." And he set me up like on the other side of the club.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and then
You still got to stay and party.
I did.
That's crazy.
No, I was still doing blow, but in the bathroom now. I figured that out.
12 nights in Vegas is completely insane, though. How much money would you say you spent gambling?
I didn't gamble at all. I just partied the whole time.
What?
Back then, all I did was party. It was pool parties, then the clubs.
That's crazy to hear from someone who says they have an addictive personality, that you didn't gamble.
So my main addiction was partying, and I had the spending sprees too. But yeah, gambling was not. So yeah, I'd say two things I don't. Most bipolar people have a lot of tattoos because it's kind of they're impulsive when they do that. So I didn't get any tattoos, and I didn't really have a problem with gambling. My problems were addiction, and like these spending sprees, and then like womanizing and things like that. Those were my main areas.
Interesting.
But yeah, I did not gamble. There was one point where I was about. I actually like to gamble for fun now. So, I mean, but there was a point where I'd spent a bunch of money and I was like, hey, what if I just started betting I was going to do, roulette. I was like, I could bet 1,000 if I missed double down. In my manic mind, I was like, I'll just keep doubling down, which I'm glad I didn't do. I could have really.
I mean, you could have lost everything if you started gambling during that trip. I was imagining 12 days of partying and gambling, and I'm like, how does this guy afford that shit?
No.
Healthcare fraud must have been lucrative.
Well, I had the over 500 grand plus my 401k plus, so I had a pretty substantial amount of money.
You had a nice little nest right there.
Yeah. But yeah, gambling would have wiped me out very quickly. So it was the main thing was the partying. So after my buddy left, I think my biggest charge is one night I spent 10 grand at the club, like on my own, basically on bottle service.
Oh my God.
But yeah, there were a lot of like a few $1,000 charges. I think 10 grand was my biggest one charge there.
And it adds up so quick, and you're obviously not financing. Like, you're not checking how much is in your bank. You're not looking at your statement.
No.
You just had to deal with the reality of, wow, I blew thousands of dollars every day on nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I did a video about my bank statement. I don't know if you saw the video on my Instagram.
I have seen that, but for those who haven't seen, like, what was one of your worst bank statements during this era?
This is actually coming later. The bank statements I showed.
It got even worse than this financially?
Well, when I buy the nightclub, I bought a nightclub later.
Oh,
and
God.
then,
Yeah, we have a lot to get to.
Yeah, and then there's more. But I was like, and I showed my literal bank statement on there. I was like, I can prove a lot of this. I was like, just in case people don't believe me, I'm gonna pull my literal Wells Fargo account that's now closed for overdraft and show all my charges. So yeah, it was. We'll get into that. But yeah, barely made it home in one piece, and I'm back in a manic episode again. And I'm skipping over some of the depressions. Like my story is more about mania, but the depression gets really bad. And I'll talk about. I talked about the one where I went in the mental hospital, and I'll talk more about some other depressive episodes. But it wasn't only mania through this whole time period. There were some depression periods. But all the crazy decisions are when you're manic. The depression is not as much of a story to tell. It's just a more terrible feeling that lasts for months. So all the stories kind of come from the mania.
I mean, it sounds like your brain was just kind of giving you a hard time no matter what, whether you're flipping through the mania or the depression. Like, you probably felt like you had to struggle to feel normal, Yeah, the mania probably maybe even felt normal at that point.
There were short periods of stability, but the drug use would just keep throwing me faster because I was using pretty much every day. I was doing coke every day at this point. Yeah. It got even worse to where I was waking up in the morning and doing it instead of coffee. That's when it got really bad. But yeah, I was using every day basically by this time. I mean, in Vegas, those 12 nights I was
Vegas is bad
all day every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that. Oh yeah, that's when I'll tell that story first. So I went to Miami one more time. Me and my buddy, my best friend, we were about to move to Austin to try to do another pharmaceutical gig.
Okay.
But this one was legal, apparently.
A legit one this time.
He told me it was. I never looked like I was one of those guys that I was along for the ride. Whatever everyone else was doing, I wasn't. When I'm manic, I'm not smart, dude. I just like, teach me how to do this.
You're just trying to have a good time. Just like, let's make it happen.
I'm not the one studying how to commit crime. I'm like, okay, teach me how to do this. And if it's not too hard, I'll do it. Yeah. So, but I go to Miami right before that. And I meet this girl partying, and I fell in love with her because I was manic. I only knew her for 2 days. But I was
fell in
like,
love that fast?
Yeah.
Was it mutual or one way?
I don't know if she's in love with me, but she liked me. But after only knowing each other a couple of days, I convinced her to break up with her boyfriend who lived in Louisiana and move with me to Austin. So I moved to Austin with my buddy. Then this other girl that I barely knew moves to Austin with me. And that's where things progress even further. That girl and I don't last we last a few months. She cheats on me, as you can probably expect.
I mean, if she left her boyfriend for you that easily, it probably happened again.
Yeah. But part of why she cheated on me also is I fell into another depressive episode at that time, and she met me when I was manic. And when I was manic, I'm like wild.
Totally
and
different
fun.
guy, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm depressed. And another part of depression a lot of people don't talk about, but I'm willing to talk about, I talk about it in my book too, is so when you're manic, you have this crazy sex drive. You want to have sex all the time. But when you're depressed, you don't. And so like I was having trouble even having sex basically when I was depressed. So for her, like, I'm not excusing what she did, but she meets this guy that's like a lot of fun. And then now there's this guy that can't even like have sex with her, is miserable. So
it's over with. Yeah.
And they say, the statistics say like 80 to 90% of bipolar relationships like fail, like even marriages. It's just hard until someone gets stable, it's hard to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she obviously I kick her out for cheating on me, and then I not too long after get thrown into another major manic episode.
That probably triggered a lot in your mind at that point.
Yeah, and that's when I still had my money, I hadn't been charged yet, and I was like, I had this opportunity come across my way of this other guy was investing in a nightclub, and I was like, damn, like, what do I like to do most? Party. Like, what if I owned a nightclub? I could.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. So I invest with him into this after hours nightclub. My initial investment was like $80K into the club. I mean, we're paying rent each month and stuff. It's a smaller club. It's a after hours club in Austin. It was called The Vault. This is back in 2016.
I was expecting you to say more money than that.
It was initial $80K investment, but again, you're not buying the building, and it's a 300-person club. It was on 5th Street, 5th and Congress, like in a basement. So it's not like this. It's not like this posh
grand,
Miami or
yeah.
And I actually have pictures of it on the club on my social media and all that. But it was cool. It was a cool club. It was definitely my Disneyland at that point, basically.
Yeah, I mean that probably became your playground pretty quickly.
Yeah. The office became my drug den, basically, and I quickly figured out, like, if you're a DJ or a club owner, you can pretty much get all the girls. You just and if you have all the drugs. I mean, that was my main method of
they want the drugs.
Picking. Yeah, my friends would, because we'd have VIPs and I'd be talking to different girls, and my friends would be like, "Why are you not talking to that girl anymore? She's really hot." I was like, "She doesn't like coke," because I was like trying to find other girls that like coke because they'd always go back with you, and so that was my whole.
That's an important trait to look for when you like coke.
Yeah,
like it really is. People don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But
and most people that are doing coke are willing to hook up. Also, it's just
of
more.
Course.
It kind of goes together.
Coke is a very like free flowing kind of drug. Everyone's very open when they're geeked.
And I know people might say this is weird because a lot of people, obviously, when they do coke, have trouble sexually, but for whatever reason, and I don't know how it is for you. It's the opposite for me when I do coke. Like sometimes
I definitely get active. Yeah.
Like
coke, I get a little. Yeah.
Yeah, but some people say they're like, when I'm on coke, I can't have sex, basically. But
that was ketamine for me.
Yeah, sometimes with Molly was a mixed bag for me. I would normally pop a Viagra just in case because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen here. But with
Molly
coke,
and Viagra is an insane mix. Actually, that's got to be electric.
Yeah. Well, after a couple of times of, bringing someone back and failing, I was like, I'm just going to pop Cialis.
You got to make sure you're ready to go this time.
Because your body felt so good already. You're like, because then it's like even worse.
I mean, what do you tell them? You're just like, yo,
sorry.
I'm fucking rolling too hard.
Yeah. Basically. That's all you can tell them.
So, you're you're telling these girls, sorry, rolling too hard. You finally lock in with the Viagra. Was that like a every time thing or
it's
like
a cheat code? Well, yeah. After when I started rolling, I would just pop it. I didn't need it with the coke at all. But I'm
just imagining you just like popping Molly and then just like taking the Viagra at the same time.
No, I
just
would
like.
I had it.
I'm gonna stay ready the whole time.
No. That's the trick. You pop it about a half hour before. Like I would typically pop it when I knew I had a sure thing. Like
there
so before I left my club or before I left wherever, I would always have it like in my little pocket, pants pocket, and I'd pop one right before I left, and hoping that it would hit me right as I'm getting home. Now, you don't want to pop it out because if you don't find anyone,
then you're in trouble.
Sucks.
Then you're in trouble
because you're hard and like.
Then you're sitting there the whole time, kind of awkward around your homies.
Yeah,
got your hands over your crotch.
Yeah,
just hanging out, looking around.
Yeah.
So, when you're upstairs in the club doing coke, trying to find the perfect girl who also wants to do coke in the upstairs of the club. Did you ever find that one?
Yes, that's a great segue. So, but my club was only one level.
Okay,
but yes, some clubs
so
were upstairs.
In the back room then.
Yeah, in the back. But that's not where I met my girl. I met my girl at the strip club.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
I always hung out with strippers. I mean, as addicts probably do.
Strippers are cool, dude. Strippers are pretty cool.
This is the only one I had a serious relationship with. I would like definitely hook up with some. Sometimes I paid them, sometimes I didn't. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, this one I met at the strip club, and dude, I don't know, it was like love at first sight. She was like one of the most beautiful girls I'd ever seen, and I tried to buy her a drink right away. Me and my buddy, this is in Austin. We had a little table, so I was like, "Hey, come get a drink with us." She's like, "I can't drink," and then she pointed down, and obviously I've been looking at other parts of her,
Yep.
but I looked down and she's wearing an ankle monitor, and I was like, oh shit,
That's the one.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the fucking one.
I was like, this girl could probably keep up with me. So yeah, so it was a weird experience. Like I did not spend any money on her at the strip club. We end up going to get breakfast at 24 Diner.
Interesting.
Yeah, like so she knew about me, I guess, like from in town, like that I owned the club and stuff. So I was like, oh, she probably just wants to hang out with me because I have money or whatever. But we fell in love later, so it wasn't just that. But yeah, she had a boyfriend at the time also. So we, after 24 Diner, we go to her place. She's like, wait outside. She gets some shit, and we go back to my place. And yeah, we hooked up all night, and I fell in love at that point. So she breaks up with her boyfriend, and then she moves in with me.
I mean, I can't imagine her boyfriend's point of view when she's walking back into her house that you just drove her to grab stuff.
He was probably sleeping though. This is pretty.
Oh, you think
late.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Even then, I mean, fuck, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, they had this weird, like, apparently they had this.
He knew what he signed up for.
Yeah, he was also not, from what I understand, also doing shit too. So it's not like they had this perfect relationship or anything.
Yep.
So yeah, then she moved in with me. We fell in love. But then it gets worse because I start moving some other people into my house. And that's where I had one drug dealer. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I got traded dealers to this other dealer. They were both friends. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I've asked around. I was like, I don't know why I would get traded. Someone told me maybe because the second guy had more product and the first guy was, you know, if you buy in bulk, you get a discount. So he's like, maybe you were buying too much, so they traded you to somebody else. Or maybe they had this scheme already in their mind. But the second dude, me and him just hit it off, and because he, although a dealer, he could party hard. So we partied.
That's the homie.
Yeah, we partied together all day. He ends up spending the night at my house. We partied the whole week basically together, and I remember the day after I lived across the street from this liquor store, so we went and got some. I was a big Ciroc drinker, but he taught me about apple Ciroc. I'd never tried apple before.
I love Ciroc apple. That's a good one.
I was mainly more like pineapple and peach was more,
very good picks.
Yeah.
Still.
I never thought to try apple, but he was like, you got to try this. And we had the apple Ciroc, and when he drank this, he's like, that's why they call me Ciroc Poppy. I died laughing.
That's an insane nickname.
Yeah. Yeah.
But was that just really his alias? Like Ciroc Poppy, there he is?
Until then, he had told me his other name, but like the next day he told me that was, and that's kind of where that stuck, and we just started calling him Ciroc Poppy.
There he is, Ciroc Poppy.
But I can say that because he went by his regular name a lot of the time, but around me and around our friend, you know, some of my friends, he was Ciroc Poppy, and it was just the best dealer name I'd ever heard, so it had to stick, obviously.
And you moved Ciroc Poppy into your house?
Moved him into my spare bedroom, yeah.
With the stripper?
Well, she's in my room.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Same, under the same roof.
Yeah.
It's
a huge 2-bedroom condo in downtown Austin. So yeah, he's living in my spare bedroom, which to me, I was giving him a discount, but it was a better deal for him.
Oh, so he was still paying rent?
Oh, no, I was getting drugs from him, but he was supposedly not charging me as much.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of the deal, but I wasn't really paying attention much.
Yeah, he probably got you.
Oh, he definitely did.
He got you pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? How long did this situation last? This doesn't sound stable.
No, he lived with me a couple months, but it went downhill from there even more because now I'm probably buying an 8-ball a day at that point.
Oh my God.
And I wasn't using it all for myself. I'm sharing it. So my ex with the ankle monitor, she couldn't drink alcohol, but she had, you know what GHB is? You probably know what GHB is.
Of course.
Yeah. So she would just like roofie herself basically.
I've heard that's a lot of fucking fun, actually.
I've tried it. I didn't love it. Yeah, but it's because to me it does feel a little bit like drinking, but it made me just really loopy and goofy, which might sound fun, but I had like zero game when I did it. Like I couldn't even talk to girls. I was just laughing the whole time, which made
you need to be on point.
Yeah, I was not on point when I did that. But yeah, she had like a 5-hour energy vial, and she would do the GHB, and
Interesting.
And she, she'd still do coke and stuff, but that was kind of her way of keeping up, and Xanax and things like that. So,
So she partied too.
Oh,
right along with you.
For having an ankle monitor, she partied the hardest. Yeah.
What was she on the ankle monitor for? Did she ever tell you?
Yeah, she got 2 DUIs within a 3-month period. The story that's the best is she was in a limo with her girlfriends going to a party, and she was already fucked up. The limo driver got out, so she got in the driver's seat, drove off with
and
it.
Stole the fucking limo?
But she hit a curb pretty quickly and jumped, like basically wrecked the limo and got a DUI. Yeah.
She's lucky that they just gave her a DUI. She just stole a limo.
They didn't get far.
She borrowed it.
Like
then.
she got in the front and just like
leave his field of
it
view.
hit a curve and I don't know. That's what she told me. So
she sounds like fun though.
Oh, dude, yeah.
She sounds like a blast. Do you ever still keep in touch with her?
No, I know where she's at. She lives in Austin still. She's with another guy and she's got 2 kids now.
Oh, good for her.
But we dated. And we'll keep going this story. But we dated for 2 years. 4 years. We dated for 4 years.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's a long time.
Yeah,
that sounds like one of the longer relationships that you had.
Besides my wife, that was my longest relationship.
Wow.
Yeah,
that sounds like a significant contrast. Like you don't really, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't sound like you have a specific taste in women. You like women.
Well, dude, it changed after my wife, I guess. So I don't know. Like I was totally a blondes guy before my divorce. Since then, I don't think I've ever dated a blonde. I've hooked up with them, but I became like dark hair, dark skin was like my new thing, basically. So
nice.
And then I realized now that I had a knight in shining armor complex also. So like I was typically looking for girls that I was like, oh, she's got a good heart. Like I want to help her. Basically, it was.
You're looking for damaged goods. It sounds like.
Because I was damaged too. So I was like, and I looking back, I think a lot of that had to do with maybe when growing up, like how I felt like my dad didn't, it's like I didn't feel like enough, so I wanted to I almost wanted to be this person that was enough for someone else. Yeah. I think it was a trauma response, basically.
So run me through a day in the life of David at this point when you're living with Ciroc Poppy and your stripper girlfriend. Like, what would you wake up and do?
Well, gradually we had more people moving in.
Okay,
but yeah, we would. Okay, so I'll go into that first. We would wake up. I had this like black Coke tray. We'd start snorting lines instead of drinking coffee. Yeah, immediately. Then we'd, if we had alcohol, we'd start drinking. If not, we'd walk to World Liquor, which is across the street, and do that. And I lived on 6th Street, which is the main drag in Austin where all the bars are. And we would just start day drinking and walking down dirty 6th Street from bar to bar, just drinking all day, doing drugs all day. That was. He'd ask me, what do you want to do today? And, I'd be like, dude, if I wanted to move into bodybuilder, to work out, I would have done that. I want to do drugs, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, that's all we really did was mostly just party. But then we're like he knows all these like other sketchy people. Not all of them were super sketchy. First I meet this bouncer named Shelby, and he starts sleeping on my couch because he doesn't have a place to live. So we called him a Ciroc. He was a Ciroc boy, is what we called him.
Oh, so you had a squad of Ciroc boys.
Not a lot, but a few. We called them Ciroc boys because they were like younger, and in a twisted way, they looked up to us because we partied so hard. So like then these other 2 kids, Ciroc Poppy hired them to hit a lick, and they got caught on camera. So he's like, hey, it's not safe for them to go home. Can they sleep here too? So we're like putting more and more people into the house. Then he introduces me to Meth Head David, which is this meth addict who tells me he's a lawyer, and I believe it. So, although it doesn't make sense because he's always borrowing my clothes and things like that. But
he can't be a successful lawyer.
Yeah, he tells me he's this like high-powered lawyer. So I don't know, I believed it back then, and so he's staying with us sometimes too. So it's this whole crew. That's
so you think you've got an in-house legal team right under
your
roof.
I've got a lawyer, I've got a drug dealer.
You got fucking everything you need right at your fingertips the moment you wake up.
Yeah. I've got the kids that look up to us. Got the stripper girlfriend. Yeah.
What was the lick that the Ciroc boys were supposed to hit?
They were robbing someone's house, I guess. I didn't hire them. Ciroc Poppy did. Yeah, I didn't hire people to hit licks. I didn't even know what a lick. Like I'm learning all this.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not from that. I didn't even know what a lick was at first.
Now, vaguely, so you don't, identify him or anything. I'm just trying to imagine. Can you describe Ciroc Poppy to me?
Yeah, I don't know if people can see the front of the book. That's how he used to dress. But he's a Mexican or Hispanic fellow. He
Right there?
Yeah, he'd wear a big gold
Okay.
chain.
The poppy hat.
He didn't wear the poppy hat. The book I made, so there's Felicia, and I changed her name, but her dancer name was Felicia, stripper with the heart of gold. So I've got that there. FBI, Apple Ciroc,
This
Ciroc
is a
Poppy,
deep cover, actually.
Meth Head David. Oh yeah.
Wow, this has meaning.
Yeah,
And that looks like Meth Head David as well?
that does look like Meth Head
That
David.
actually helps me visualize this. Okay.
So Ciroc Poppy is actually more Mexican looking than that. I didn't want it to look exactly like him, but that was how he would dress, except the hat was not
That's Ciroc Poppy-ish.
Yeah,
everybody.
He'd wear a Yankees or Reds ball cap typically. He'd wear all black with maybe a red accent hat. But yeah.
That's good. So now I can picture this. And Meth Head David, the supposed attorney. So
he was always dropping down to do push-ups and lift weights when he was on meth. So that's why I have him holding the weight. He was just...
How long would his meth binges go on? Would he be up for days or like?
He didn't really do it. Like he wasn't even really doing it in front of me because I had never tried meth at this point. But the dude just had the most energy ever. I don't even know how much he was
to keep
doing.
it away from you though.
Yeah. Well, he just didn't want to share probably.
he goes smoking on the porch. Keep it out of the way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this living situation obviously is not stable and is not healthy.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like. How long did this go on for before shit hit the fan?
Well, so I had lived with Felicia, the stripper, longer than that, but Ciroc Poppy lived at my house for about 2 months. And this is like when my even right around that time, the start of the 2 months is when my club just started going into the ground because the other owner ended up basically I bought him out. And then, so I had the club. All the regular employees quit at that point.
Oh.
And
why'd they quit? Like, what?
They hated me because I was in there. I wasn't trying to make money. I was in the biggest section of my club, always partying with my friends. I would be dropping shit. One time me and Ciroc Poppy got locked in the office. So we freaked out because we did a bunch of coke. And instead of trying to call someone to get us out, there's like these glass window. I threw a chair through it and like glass went everywhere. So they hated me, dude.
You got out though.
That was awful. Yeah. My nickname back then was Doomsday because I just caused a lot of destruction, my friends said.
Oh, they hated you.
Well, my friends liked me, but at this point I'm losing my regular friends and and this happens when you're an addict, you like
100%
get like lower friends, they're almost called.
Did any of your regular friends like follow you through addiction or no?
My best buddy that moved to Austin, he did this for a while, but as it got worse, he moved back to Florida. He's like, fuck this. Like this dude is going to get me in more trouble. And then I had another friend that was pretty successful in tech. And he kept up with me for a while too. But after Ciroc Poppy moved in, he's like, dude, I can't do this anymore. I have a regular job. So he stopped hanging out with me. So now it's just this new crew basically.
Yeah. I mean, it gets harder and harder as you get deeper into it to like maintain those like separate friendships.
Yeah.
And they get more separate as time goes on. Where like your normal friends who don't do what you're currently doing, like the further you escalate it, the worse that relationship's going to get.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it's been years since I got sober from coke and I stopped doing the fuck shit that I was doing. And a lot of my old friends from back in the day when I was younger and hadn't started doing that stuff yet, don't talk to me. A lot of those relationships, it's like they can't be mended.
I lost a lot, like a decent amount of friends, but I got luckily I did get most of them back because I've changed so much since then. But obviously there's some I couldn't repair. And then of course the wife thing, I could never repair that one. That's the one that hurts me the most. But I was a shit friend sometimes too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is when everything fell apart basically. So, Ciroc Poppy and I had a falling out at this point. I had let him manage the club one night, and I felt he'd stolen money because the money seemed light. And I'm banging on the door. He has this chick in there that he was kind of dating, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to sleep." And I was on a bunch of drugs, so I'm banging on the door. Finally, he rips open the door and just sucker punches me in the face. And then he's about to, hit me twice. He's about to hit me more, but this rock boy Shelby like grabbed him and, held him back, and I kicked him out at that point. I actually kicked everyone out except my ex-girlfriend at that point.
Yeah, they got to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like at that point.
Yeah.
And Felicia was probably pretty happy that you kicked everyone else out, yeah?
She was, but then she got another, she got in trouble and had to go to jail because she violated the terms of her ankle monitor.
This is such a mess, this whole situation.
So now I'm by myself, and I'll go quickly. And it actually got a little bit worse than that before it ends, because one night I get to the club. I told you my employees had quit.
Yeah.
But like nobody, this time again, so because Rock Poppy's out of my life, like my employees aren't there. Mm-hmm. So I get there a little before it opens. There's a couple guys in line, and I had this bright idea. I don't know who these people are. I'm like, hey, do you want to work tonight? I'll pay you, I don't know, it's like $150 or whatever to help me run the club. And I find out later they're both bad people too. But like one of them had just gotten out of prison. But yeah, and then they're like, hey, we can call some other people to help. And then I met T-Rex. T-Rex was like, what is it called? Like he had a warrant because he had done like shit with counterfeit money, basically. He's
so an upstanding guy. Yeah.
So I got him working at the club. Then I've got he's like this skinny black dude that's really good at fighting though, for being so small. Mm-hmm. And there's like this skinny white dude named Bones that I let work there too, plus those other two guys. And then, so the club's not doing well, but I was able to pay them that night. And I'm like basically trying to keep the door open.
Yeah.
So these guys are kind of staying at my house now instead of the Ciroc boys. And then I kept losing my keys to my condo, right? We kept losing all my shit, phones all the time, everything. So T-Rex basically told me, he's like, hey, I got this chick called Old Girl that can watch your place for you. And I was like, how much do I have to pay her? He's like, you don't have to pay her. But if she can do tricks in your spare bedroom, she'll watch your place for you while you're gone. And I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, basically prostitute. She has clients. Mm-hmm. So like, obviously no one in their right mind would do this, but I'm a drug addict, manic. So yeah, this
is a lucrative opportunity to have Old Girl doing business in the spare room.
She's doing and she's watching my place for free. So I think this is a good thing to do.
So win-win in your head.
I guess.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, so Old Girl, you agree to this?
Yeah. So Old Girl is just this little, she's not old. She's like this young little black chick. Her man was in prison, so I guess she needed some money. So she's doing tricks in the bedroom. Then we have this other crew, like Bird and Edgar were also there. Bird was like an ex-prison enforcer. Edgar was his buddy. So I hired them to be like the bouncers at my club. And that didn't last for long though. Like these guys were all stealing from me too. And yeah not long after, all that blows up and Felicia comes back. And
really?
she's not gonna get back with me though unless I kick these people out. So
she gave you an ultimatum.
Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, I was like not doing well at this point. But yeah, she makes me kick all of them out. We get back together, but then the club goes under, and end up getting evicted from my condo soon after that, and lost everything, dude. So within the space of a year, I guess. So the FBI raided my office in May of 15. This is like August of 16. So a year and maybe a couple months after. And this is some of the stuff I was showing in my bank statements was like right before that, buying the club, all the drug charges and other dumb shit I was doing. But yeah, I gave a $60,000 loan to someone without having them sign anything. I just had them email me something.
You just got a little Gmail message real quick.
Yeah,
and there you go. Here's your 60 grand.
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine they didn't pay that back.
They paid like 1 month payment and then they stopped paying. So yeah.
What was the monthly? Like what was your
$6,000.
Oh, okay. All right. So you only lost 90%.
Yeah.
Of the money. There you go. There you go. We recouped the 10%.
Yeah,
we're looking good.
Well, my buddy says no matter how much money I had, I was going to blow through it. So not only did I blow through, it was over 500K. I also had a 401k that was, 100 something, maybe 200,000. I blew through that also. And dude, I lost everything. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to even put myself in storage. So when I was evicted, I left most everything there except like a couple suitcases.
Yep.
And we weren't like totally on the streets homeless, but we were living out of, there's like this Super 8, really cheap Super 8 in Austin, these like really cheap motels, because she was still dancing at the club. So as long as she made enough, we could pay for that. And she used to make a lot of money there, but because she was trying to keep up with my lifestyle, she was not. We were both looking haggard and not good, you know?
Yeah.
So she's not doing as well there either. So we really are like living like day to day, basically, out of motels at that point.
And I mean, going so quickly from this lavish lifestyle of owning a club, partying, having all the plugs, all the homies, to you're in a Super 8 looking rough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a drastic change. It sounds like to me you were the kind of person who, like, no matter how much money you had or how much of drugs you had, you were just going to blow it all at the same rate.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
whether you
I might have died. If I had millions, I probably would have just died because I
yeah.
couldn't have blown through it as fast.
And that's, I mean, it's got to be really hard even to this day, I would imagine, to keep yourself grounded financially when a decade ago you were at this club blowing all this money on a nightly basis, and now you have to like try to have a normal perception of money. Even now, that's probably difficult for you, no?
It was at first, but not really anymore. But yeah, it definitely was at first. I mean, going from having all that, the hardest part was going from having all that to like living out of the motel. Like that is a huge change from being the man, owning a club, getting whatever you want, to like not being able to get anything now.
Yeah.
And that's where I figured out though that my ex, loves me, and that's why I put her with the heart of gold on the book, because she's the stripper with the heart of gold. Like
she stayed with you.
She stayed
in
with
that
me.
Super 8.
Almost any other girl would have left me, and that erased anything in my mind about her being with me for money or the wrong reasons, because I didn't have it anymore. And she definitely loved me, and if not for her, I would have probably ended up on the streets, because I wasn't really talking to my parents. They knew I was using drugs and all that. So she's like the one thing that kept me from like literally being homeless.
I mean, it sounds like you guys got to go get a drink at some point, despite what you said earlier about her being remarried and everything.
I don't know.
It sounds like you guys maybe got to go get a drink.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to talking. I'm open to talking to her, I guess. I don't know. Like a lot of it's hard to know what to do with things like that. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to know. Like I guess what I will say is she'll always have a spot in my heart where I care, where I'm rooting for her and I care about her. So even though we broke up later, and I'll get to that, but I'll always care very strongly about her, because that girl was with me through my worst, and that means a lot.
Did you ever speak to her or any of these girls that you were talking to and breaking up with after the breakup, or was it always like we broke up, fuck you?
I'm really good at cutting things off. Like I'm not a go back to someone type person, but
that's good most of the time.
It also typically takes me longer to break up with someone, but when I'm done, I'm done. Like I don't do this go back and forth thing.
It slowly builds up with you until you hit your breaking point. And then it's just, I'm never going to see you again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is when I fell into a really deep depression again. So that's the thing about my depressions. Like that first one I told you about when I was 20, nothing was wrong in my life. But then some of them, like when the FBI raided my office or when I lost everything, those depressive episodes came on for a reason, obviously. And with the depression, a lot of it is also like your mind slows down considerably. Like I can't think very well. I become dumb basically. So I was trying to get a job to help us bum. Like regular me is pretty intelligent, well, decently intelligent. But when I'm
I can tell.
depressed,
I mean, you're well-spoken. You seem like a smart guy.
Yeah, thanks. But when I'm depressed, no, I bombed like over 20 job interviews, dude. I could not.
Really?
Yeah, I could not get a job. So finally though, like she started making enough money through different things. And we were able to get like a small studio apartment, no furniture though. All we had is an air mattress and like peanut butter and jelly, lunch meat, ramen, shit like that. So I went from having all this to like this small crappy apartment with an air mattress. So it's humbling,
sandwiches
man.
on the air mattress.
Yeah. It's a crazy, crazy change. Yeah.
And when did things finally really change where you got help or figured out your issues? Like what
Yep.
stopped that cycle?
Not long after that, I was just at my wit's end without not being able to get a job.
Mhm.
So I went to my psychiatrist, who I still have today. And after all these years of trying different meds, he was finally able to put me on the right meds. He's the best doctor I've ever had because he'll like a lot of doctors just in, out, in, out. This guy would like talk to me for as long as I needed. He went through everything. And yeah, he was finally able to put me on the right meds. So yeah, after all these years, I was finally stable, and I felt stable pretty fast. Like I started feeling good within a couple of weeks, and then within like a month, I felt like a whole different person. It was crazy.
I've heard those medications, you have to take them for a while consistently to really feel the difference.
I
Yeah?
felt it with that. Yeah, after like a month, I felt like a different person, and it keeps getting better from there. But like I was like, dude, this is huge change after like a month.
So since then, you've just been stable and able to kind of rebuild your life because of that medication?
So yeah, so since then, after that, I was able to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been hard because the whole time the prison sentencing is hanging over my head this whole time.
Yeah, because you got raided by the FBI a few
Yeah.
years prior to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they still hadn't charged me though. So I got a new job in January of 2018. They end up charging me in I think it was 2019 when they actually charged me. So they have 5 years to charge you from when they raid your office. They waited like
Interesting.
4.5 years to charge me. So in the back of your head, you're almost like, oh, are they not gonna? They waited like till the end to charge us. But that's how I got my job, because with a felony you can't work in finance. But I got back into finance, and I worked my way back up where I'm making at the end I was making. So I went from nothing to, after a few years, I was making like $200K again.
It's good
in
fucking
finance.
money right there, dude.
Yeah. But the whole time, I have this like sentencing like hanging over my head. So it's a hard life, dude, to like go through all that. So me and my buddy pled guilty. We went to a proffer hearing, and they basically tell you everything they have against you, and it was a fucking lot. So I was like,
It's probably overwhelming to hear them just list out all this evidence. Like, hey,
Yeah.
here's how fucked you are.
yeah, basically. So they're like, you can plead guilty and get a reduced sentence, or you can go to trial. And the cool thing for me though is a lot of times they want you to try to cooperate, but I was too fucked up that they didn't ask me to testify against anyone.
They didn't think you'd be coherent.
No, because the lawyer and the other people would be like, this motherfucker.
This guy's fucked out of his mind.
He's bipolar. He was, so they didn't even ask me to like testify against anyone. So I got lucky with that. If I would have been able to do that, I would have probably got even reduced guidelines. But so I pled guilty in 2019. So I guess that was 4.5 years. But this ends up going on for 9.5 years. My actual sentencing was last December
Really?
of 24. Yeah.
Wow. That's not even a year ago.
Yeah. So this is the longest case my lawyer's ever worked on a federal level. There's just a lot of things that happened with it. One of the higher ups at my job ended up getting a second trial. Basically, there was issues with the government and witnesses. Just a lot of things went, like they had 3 different prosecutors work the case. So all that works in your favor though, if there's more and more time, because your lawyer can argue that this shit's hanging over his head all this time. But even before that went down, I ended up losing my finance job. I got fired because they found out, I think they ran like a routine background check, found out about my charges.
Saw something pretty major on there.
Yeah, because I'd pled guilty. So I got fired from that job, and ended up after that, because like it's hard to get a job with a felony. So I went from making $200K to delivering boxes basically for like, I don't know, $19 an hour for Amazon or whatever.
Brutal. It's like a brutal change to your life.
Yeah, especially in the summer in Texas where you got like 100-degree heat.
You're sitting there in the heat.
Yeah.
Your income just got chopped.
Yeah, and you're still waiting on a prison sentence.
Yeah, and you still have no idea how long you're about to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a horrible feeling.
The thing that got me through though all of that is I realized like at this time I was stable, and I'd been trying to figure out like how, like I've been through all this, how can I help people? And I finally realized like my goal in life is to share my story to help other people that are struggling. So because I found like that purpose and mission in life, it helped me get through all that. Cause I was like, now is not forever. Like my life really fucking sucks, but it's going to get better. Like I just knew for sure, like I knew I was going to write a book for years before I did it. I knew I was going to be helping people. This is before I'm even posting on social media or anything, but I just knew like there was some way I was going to share my story and help people. So that got me through like all this shit time. And around this time is when I started posting. Like I think on TikTok I had like 30 followers at this point. But I'm like, I'm going to document the come up. Not, most people document when they're up. I was making videos working for Amazon, like talking about my life and waiting on my prison sentencing. Cause I was like, I want to document this shit. But so that's what helped me get through. But that's also what helped me start doing well on social media. Cause I was on the way to my sentencing in December and I was like, let's go big or go home here. If I go to prison, and I make a video documenting my sentencing, everyone will just forget about it. But I'm just, so I made a video. I was like, I'm in the airport on the way to my sentencing, blah, blah, blah. And of course, people started watching it. They're like, I want to see what happens to this guy. We may never see another video from him. But I documented my whole journey. I'm figuring out my purpose in helping people. But when I went to my sentencing in December of 24, so let me actually take a step back. 2 years before that, I had another sentencing hearing.
Okay.
And instead of this, my original sentencing hearing, instead of the 7 years, they were recommending 2.5 for me.
Nice.
Because things had gone, at that point, it had been 7 years since the sentencing. The case had been kind of screwed up. So, but that still seemed like a fucking lot, 2.5 years. And
For someone who'd never been, that's a long time. Yeah.
I've only been in jail one day in my life. That's allegedly I punched in a window. I don't know if I did or not, but so I'd never.
It was
been
alleged. How long? When was this?
This is back right after this rock poppy time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you run me through the alleged situation real quick?
Yeah, I was hanging out with T-Rex, and he let me try lean or purple drink for the first time. But I mixed it with Coke and other shit. And I've read in like rare cases that shit can make you aggressive. It's probably everything else put together.
For sure.
So my friends tell me I was blacked out at this point. I bought a hot dog from a hot dog guy. We got in an argument. I threw it at him. Then I go back to the condo. They're trying to keep me in there, but I go back out and I don't remember anything else. But from the cops' records or whatever, I punched in a window. Someone said someone that looked like me punched in a window. When the cops showed up, the transcript says that I had told them to prove it. And when I said prove it, they smelled a bunch of alcohol and whatever else on my breath. They took me to jail. Luckily, I was out of the Coke at that time. So it's like the one time I didn't have the Coke in my pocket. But
it was fate at that point.
Yeah, that was fate.
That you did not have any Coke on.
Yeah. But I still spent the night in jail. And I don't even remember going to jail. I woke up in jail, not knowing why I was there. I tried to ask them. I was freaking out. Because I don't even remember being processed. But the next day they like pull you in front of like this, I think it's a judge situation. They pulled all of us in there and he told me, that I allegedly punched a window of an architecture building. And I started laughing because I was like, I don't punch windows in, but maybe I do apparently. So, basically I ended up pleading guilty to that, but it fell off my record in a year. It's one of those like, it's like if you pay restitution, it's like $800
and behave yourself
something.
for this amount of time. Yeah. Then it goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely been through those before.
You've been to jail?
Well, I haven't been to jail, but I've been in situations where like when I was younger, one of the first things I did was me and my friends went and stole a bunch of stuff out of open garages in like surrounding neighborhoods. And we got caught for that because we just did it in my car with my license plate and didn't cover it because we were stupid and like all high. So like one guy saw us and called the police and the cops came to all of our houses. Like they came to my house first. And then like my friend, he called me and he's like, hey, like my mom found out about all this like shit that I have. Cause it was his house that we stashed it at. We saw like golf clubs that were worth like $2,000 out of this guy's garage. And none of us had a record. So we had to like go to the station and bring it back. And we had what was called a station adjustment. So it was like, we didn't go to court. We had to sign all this paperwork with our parents. And then if we behaved ourselves for a certain amount of time, it would get white. Like we wouldn't go to court or like sentence for it.
Okay. So similar.
Similar. literally 1 month after the station adjustment ended, I got arrested again.
Oh shit! So you did not. You violated your
station adjustment was for nothing. They might as well charge me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in my probation, for example. I got arrested for a felony retail theft, and that ended up going off my record after a certain amount of time. It got reduced to a misdemeanor, and then if I completed it and then was good for like another year, I think it went away. So I had a year of probation and a year of like, be a good boy.
Okay.
And
but you don't have the felony. That's awesome.
No,
That's
I don't have the
awesome.
felony.
That's so
Thank
good,
God.
man. Felonies
Thank
are
God.
just such a life
It's
sentence.
horrible. Yeah. It's, I mean, you can't vote. You can't own a gun. Like there's a million things. Jobs are
jobs is
impossible
the
to
hardest
get.
thing I've found. Yeah.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to when just last December, you had been sentenced in your FBI case.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess what I was saying right before that is I was at my previous sentencing in
for the window issue.
No. That was my arrest. But I was at I had two different sentencings.
The previous sentencing date for the FBI thing
was 2 years before.
Okay.
I think it was 2 years before. But like you're allowed to speak before you get sentenced, right? And I really think I was about to get the 2.5 years for sure. But when because the judge didn't look like she was very sympathetic. But when I gave my speech, I talked about my bipolar. I'm talking about my whole history, and I could tell the judge didn't really know about that. So luckily, I'd brought all of my medical records with me, and I was like, Your Honor, have you seen my medical records? And she's like, no. So I guess the probation officer, they do a pre-sentencing report. He'd like said something about me being bipolar, but she didn't understand the extent of it. So I asked permission to go up to her. I bring her all these records of like the mental hospital stuff from my doctors. And then now she's starting to look more like sympathetic to it. So I go through my spiel. My mom and brother speak about all the changes in my life. And at the end, she basically said, Mr. Funes, I can't sentence you today because I didn't understand the extent of your mental illness and these circumstances. And my lawyer's like, I've never seen that in, all my years. I've never seen someone like not get sentenced at all. She's like, I need a little time to think about this. And I thought it'd be a few months, like a couple months later, but it's like 2 years later, basically.
She took a lot of time to think, huh?
Yeah. Well, she decided after that she was going to wait to sentence everyone together. And there was like 13 of us basically that were getting sentenced at that time. Yeah. There was way more people involved, but they basically just took the top earners. And,
Everyone who made a bunch of money got fucked.
Should have got or could have, yeah. But yeah, so December of last year, I'm there again, and dude, it couldn't have been any more different. It's a third prosecutor. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. My lawyer told me we're going to go for time served because I'd been on probation now for 5 years. So he was just trying to, that would be called time served. He was trying to get me to not go to prison. And the prosecutor, instead of recommending 2.5 years, this time they recommended time served also for me. So I was like, unless the judge hates me, I should get time served. But it's such a surreal situation, like sitting in court, knowing you could lose like a couple years of your life. But yeah, the judge also agreed, and they gave me a time served sentence. So I am done with all that. Now I do have 3 felonies, so that sucks.
It's not to celebrate.
Yeah, so that's tough with like work stuff. But yeah, I did not have to go to prison, so that like really, really worked out for me.
I mean, just the feeling of finally the cloud over your head is gone and you're not even in prison for it has to be amazing despite the felonies. Worry about the felonies later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it came time to worry about the felonies, when it's time to make some money and get to work, that was an issue, a huge issue.
That had already been an issue because I'd been fired from my finance job because I didn't. So I guess I should have disclosed to them when I got the felony. Yeah. But, and that was a mistake I made.
Consequences were just stacking up.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, I was like, there's so much, I wasn't thinking straight. And I was like, fuck, if I lose this job, I'm going to be a delivery driver, basically, which is what happened. Because like, it's hard with the felony. I like Uber, I couldn't get hired by Uber. I couldn't get hired by DoorDash. Yeah, like they turned me down. I had to apply to Amazon four different DSPs. Like each station is run by like an independent contractor, I think. But yeah, I got turned down 3 times even at Amazon. Dude, it was so hard to get a job. But then, since then, I was able to get a sales job by a company that was, sympathetic to my situation. But then on the side, and most of my time has been spent, trying to help people now through like my book. I do speaking, coaching, stuff like this. So that's my true goal, is to just spend all my time, helping other people with the stuff I've learned through all this.
How did all the kind of author and philanthropy, I guess you could call it, how did this all pick up? Like, where did the social media and book writing come from?
Well, I've been working on the book for a few years. I wrote the first draft a few years ago, but it was not good enough. But the good thing is, as you write, you get better.
Yeah, it's all practice.
Yeah, then I wrote a movie script. It was a lot better, but it still wasn't good enough. But by then, I'd been learning enough about writing that I finally wrote this draft, and then this one was good finally. And I hired a developmental editor and all that, and she's like, okay, this is the one, So I'd been working on this this is a few years of effort, but this book, I just knew like this is what I wanted to put out in the world. And then kind of around the same time, around the sentencing time is when the social media picked up, because I made that video. I'm on the way to my sentencing, and people, I guess, got interested in the story. And then originally I was mainly making videos to help people. Like I wasn't even telling my story because I didn't want to seem like I was glorifying the behavior. But my friends kept telling me, they're like, dude, people will get more out of you telling your stories. It's not bragging at all. It's because like, look at you, I'm not bragging. I'm in this, I'm in a much worse state now. So it's not like I'm bragging, look at me or whatever. So they finally convinced me to tell my story. So when I started telling the Ciroc Poppy stories, that's when things kind of took off there. I guess I was like, damn, I didn't know people would be interested in these stories.
I mean, the Ciroc Poppy, I think, is literally the second reel. You talking about moving Ciroc Poppy into your apartment was the second short that I'd seen of you. And it had like probably 100,000 likes or something. Like it was super viral. And I think it's just the way you tell the story is very captivating, and you also, as I mentioned earlier, like your story is extremely unique because it's almost like a switch flipped in you one day.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they talk about drug addiction, it's like they grew up in these environments, they grew up with addiction, and then the switch flips and they get sober. But you had your shit all straightened out at first, and then just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to the strip club and doing blow, and that's like such a just unique aspect of your story. And I'd imagine, as you had finally started getting all your stuff back together and kind of repiecing your life together, after your sentencing and the, getting medicated and everything, how difficult is it to like mend those old relationships? Did you have to reach out and apologize to a lot of people?
I did. So that's one of the things I always recommend to people is to try to apologize and because like I told you, shame is probably the biggest thing that I talk to bipolar. Yeah, because through my content, I get to talk to a lot of people, and like everyone's always talking in comments or messaging me about shame. And so I think the first step you have to do is you have to at least try to reach out. So I tried to make amends and apologize to everyone I could. With my ex-wife, even just I've apologized a few times, but I talked to my mom and sister, and I was like, I really want to write her like this long letter explaining everything, taking responsibility, but also like, I don't know if she knows this whole story of what's happened in my life. And I was like, do you think that will give her more closure knowing all that? And they're like, yeah. So I wrote her this long letter, and she didn't write back to me. She told them she appreciated that she can understand things a little bit more. So I've tried as best I can. Like you said, you don't get all your friendships back.
Yep.
But I'd say I got most of them back because they knew that that's not the real me, They know that I'm, the person I am now and the person I've been stable for over 7 years. And it's a very different person, than the person that we're telling stories about. A lot of my friends that I met in the last few years, I'm a pretty straight-laced guy now. They're like, there's no way those stories are true. So I have to show them pictures and things. Are like, damn, like because I don't seem like that type of person anymore.
Not at all. I think that's one of the most interesting parts of everything about you is like watching you talk about this when you're sitting here like, I was doing coke with Ciroc Poppy, it's like, what? Like
even sometimes that's
like
how
that
I feel.
Guy,
like, I don't. Yeah. Even I sometimes look back. I'm like, how like that feels like a whole different life. Obviously.
Now, one of the things I'm curious about as well. You mentioned, coke and Molly a lot as kind of your couple main, specifically coke as your real drug of choice.
Yeah.
What was like some other crazy drugs you had tried, or like the hardest drug you had tried? You'd say
meth is probably the craziest drug I did. so the meth situation. I only tried meth once, but I did it for 3 days straight.
That's how meth is.
Because, well, I was with my stripper ex-girlfriend at the time, and it was her birthday. We thought we were going to get coke from a different guy, not Ciroc Poppy anymore. We were on the outs, and this guy only had meth, and we really wanted to party, and we finally were like, fuck it, we're only gonna do it once, But I smoked it first, and I just didn't feel it at first. So I smoked more, and finally, like, it hit me, and it was another one of those intense feelings. It's kind of this insane rush. Also, like, I mean, different than coke, but it's an insane rush also. So I was like, all right, if I do it once, I'm gonna do it big. So I didn't have anything to smoke it with, but I bought like the crystals. I was like, I'll just break these up and snort them later. I mean, I guess some people snort them, but I was like, yeah, I can break these little shards up and snort them. So I went on like a 3-day bender with her. It's a pretty crazy experience. But the third day, because dude, that, as much as any other drug, that drug gave me the most sex drive of any drug. So
I've heard that about meth, like universally.
Yeah. You're like rabbits spawning on each other, basically. So yeah, it was. I get why people like the drug, but luckily I've seen Breaking Bad. I know what meth face looks like. I was like, fuck, it's
not pretty.
Like I know how bad this can get. Coke was more glamorized to me, but I just knew meth was bad. So I was like, I'm only doing this one time. But the third day, I had a job interview that I didn't remember I had, and I hadn't slept for 2 days. So my ex reminded me I had this job interview, and I went in on meth with like this supreme confidence. I'd been bombing all the other job interviews. I got the job, dude.
Really?
Well, because I crushed it. But it wasn't a good job even, but I told you I failed over 20 job interviews. Got the job, but then I had stopped doing the meth, and I got fired like 3 days later because I was depressed again, and I couldn't like they were like trying to do exercises and training, and I just couldn't do them. It was dude, it was like this job selling gold, basically.
What?
It's like a gold bureau, and like, because I couldn't get any job. So yeah, I went into like, I was basically going to be calling people and trying to sell them gold.
Oh boy, you were cold calling.
Yeah, so like, probably other people, like, it's not the hardest job to get, but I was still shocked. I went in on no sleep on meth and got a job.
Nailed that shit.
Yeah. I was the most confident I've ever been in an interview.
When I was in rehab, I did 2 months in a residential facility when I was younger, and one of my roommates was a huge meth addict. And one of the things he told me that was like the hardest thing about quitting meth was that, unlike any other drug, he got shit done on meth. Like, he was productive.
Okay.
And like hearing you say, well, he thought he was productive. Maybe he didn't actually get things done, but he, in his own mind, believed he was productive. Yeah. It sounds like when you were high on that shit, you thought you were too, going to that job interview.
Yeah. Well, I had confidence, which I had none when I was depressed. So
shit it makes you feel like Superman, from my understanding of it.
It did.
But I mean, it sounds like a good thing that you didn't get into that drug, because meth is bad.
Yeah. And it's
dangerous.
I never did. So I've tried I feel like I've tried a lot of drugs, but I never did heroin either, because when I was in the mental hospital, they had like people that were on heroin also that were there. And I saw like the withdrawal symptoms, and it kind of stuck with me. So I was like, fuck that. Plus I've been all about uppers. So I've never been addicted to like, like oxys or anything like that. That just didn't ever interest me. Yeah.
Those people, I mean, heroin withdrawal, it looks like they're dying almost. Like these people are bedridden from it for a week, sometimes longer, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, one of the only other drugs that I've seen the withdrawals look that bad is like when you cold turkey benzos, like Xanax withdrawals really bad.
I've heard that.
That one's ugly, dude.
I was never addicted to that though. Have you been?
So I was kind of weird. I was a just all type of poly addict. I just wanted to be high until I found Coke. Once I found Coke, I was like, I stopped smoking weed. I was like, fuck everything else. Like, I'm gonna do hella blow. And then towards the end, the blow wasn't really doing it for me, so I was doing like blow and Molly or blow and K lines. Like I was mixing everything together and then taking Xans on top of it. So I was like a zombie every day. But
I've done that at like a music festival. I guess it's candy flipping basically.
Yeah.
I was doing coke, ketamine, and like Molly or ecstasy, whatever. I don't remember which one it was, but that was a weird, because then I guess what I was trying to do was like, even out myself out with more coke, more ketamine,
Yep.
like trying to.
You're always trying to play that balancing
yeah,
game.
yeah. Except I've only been in a K-hole once that I know of. But that, like, I got like lost at the
What was
festival.
your K-hole like?
Well, I was on this. Is that Tomorrow? I don't know if you've heard of Tomorrow World. It's like the
Tomorrowland, I
US.
think?
It's the US version
Yep.
of Tomorrowland. It used to be in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Well, outside Atlanta, but yeah, I was on this like it's this little barge in the water. There's this stage, and I just got lost in time and space, and like my friends had to kind of wake me up out of it. Like the show was over, and I didn't really know. I was just kind of like gone, dude.
It feels like you're trapped almost. When you're
yeah,
K-hole.
it was like like you're trapped in time, and it was just weird. Yeah, it was like 10 years ago, but that's what I remember from it. Is like my friends like pulling me off this little ship boat, and like, you know, it's weird.
Yeah, K-holing's not fun because most of the time I feel like it happens on accident.
Yeah.
Like you never start doing K and you're like, man, I sure hope I K-hole today.
Yeah. I've only done it a couple of times, so I didn't know how much to like. I had
Yeah,
no idea how much to
that's
do.
even worse. That makes it worse because
Yeah.
then you're way more likely to K-hole.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started doing ketamine, yeah, it was probably every other time I do it. It was just a coin flip. Like, am I going to lose control of my arms or am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Did ketamine a few other times when I had the club. Like there's a couple, I won't name their names, but like we used to have like mid-level DJs and artists. We didn't have like the top, but like
Yep.
we had like pretty good up and coming people. And one time they brought ketamine and they're like, do you want the regular ketamine or the shit that'll knock you on the floor? And I was like, I'll try both of them, you know, like, so yeah.
Give me a line of each.
Yeah. If people had it, I would try it, but I've never been like buying ketamine or anything.
Yeah, I mean, ketamine really fucks you up too. Have you heard about the bladder issues it causes?
Mm-mm.
So ketamine, it's a very unique trait of it, but ketamine in like really extreme cases can fuck your bladder up and like can give you extreme pains in your bladder and cause like urinary tract issues and like really bad. I used to have a friend when I was younger who he would probably piss 10 times a day.
Jeez.
And it was because of ketamine. Like he
Okay.
would get these shooting cramps, be like, holy fuck, I have to go do K. And he'd go to the bathroom, take a leak, and then have to do K so it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
And like,
Dang.
that's a brutal life,
Did
man.
not know about that.
That's a brutal one. Yeah, it's rough. But you know, now, I mean, another thing I'm curious about too, now that you've been 7 years kind of on the right track again, does it ever like come into your mind where you worry that this could happen again? Or
Because it's been so long, I don't really worry about it. I did have one. I had one main relapse. It was back in Miami. It's probably like 3 years ago, where I did do coke again at that point. So, but yeah, in the 7 years, I really only had that one main relapse. But it was a bad one again. It was. I wasn't manic or anything, but I was like, damn, I still do these crazy things. Because during this one, I guess we were staying in Fort Lauderdale, but somehow I was blacked out and ended up trying to go to Club Space with some people. But I don't think I ever made it inside because I woke up sleeping on the sidewalk with puke all over me and a sprained knee. I had to get crutches and I had to like cab it back to Lauderdale.
what do you think happened to you? Like what?
I don't know if I ever went to the club, but I puked somewhere. I'm sure. I don't even know who I was with really. But I don't know. I drank too much.
Like, what?
I probably fell at some point and kept walking. I don't know, dude. But that was like my one relapse.
Yeah.
But I'd say the reason I don't worry about it, but the reason that happened is I think environment's really big, and I put myself in a bad environment in a party place where there was like coke on a plate like right in front of me. So I've managed to avoid that mostly. But the reason why I know like my stories might sound crazy or funny, but the lows were I didn't talk as much about the lows today because there's just not as much story to tell about them.
Yeah.
But there's so much worse and they're so awful that I don't know, dude, being homeless and having to claw my way back from that. I think a lot of people have to hit a low like that to stop using or to go get help with their mental health. So I think because I've been through all that, yes, there were some fun times and yes, I have some stories, but I'm happier now as a stable person, not having all that shit in my mind, worrying about going to prison, losing everything and having to start over. It's just, I don't know. It might sound fun at times, but I wrecked my whole life. Dude, and I had 9.5 years that I really couldn't be a normal person. I couldn't try to get married. I couldn't date properly. I had something I'm worrying about in the back of my mind for 9.5 years. So that's why, you know, I know there's fun stories out there, but I always tell people, dude, it is not worth
The
it.
fun stories that, I mean, myself as well, I tell a lot of stories about my addiction and, you know, the era of my life. And I didn't experience the manic and bipolar stuff that you did, but
Yeah.
through my addiction, I talk about a lot of the fun stuff because that's what people want to hear about.
Yeah.
If I sat here and talked about all the days where I was like, yo, I'm just going to do cocaine, and if I have a heart attack and die, like, so be it, you know, or the days where I'd wake up and have no money and no left, and I'd be like, damn, dude, today might be the day I blow my brains out, you know, like that's stuff that like you don't talk about as much, but that's the reality of it.
Right.
Like 80% of your day is that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're sober, when you don't have a bag, it's that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
like
Yep.
it's not pretty.
Yeah. So I'm glad we both, you know, share
It's the
that
way
with
it
people.
is, you know? I mean, I think with addiction, like there's nobody who is in even, it doesn't matter what your mental health state is. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you're someone who's bipolar, if you're someone who can have manic episodes, if you're, no matter what your mental health issues are, your mental health status is,
Yeah.
if you're a drug addict and an active drug addict, it gets ugly pretty quick.
It does.
You know?
Yeah.
And even if your mental health issues are not reduced, a lot of us end up in the same place,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Rock bottom.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty.
Yeah. And when I lost everything and had to start over, that rock bottom was like a long, and that was the longest depressive episode I've ever been in. I was depressed for probably 2 years. So dude, it was this awful experience. Like I said, I'm bombing the job interviews. My ex is coming home crying every day because you know, we're barely being able to afford rent. It's just like I felt terrible as a man, terrible as a person. So like I definitely don't want to glamorize the use, because there's some awful stuff that I went through that I would have never had to go through. Oh yeah, but I guess I never told you why we broke up. She also had addiction problems, and like after her dad passed away, it kind of just got worse and worse. And I stayed with her for like another year because I loved her to death. She loved me, but it just got to where I was getting too anxious. She was blacking out all the time. I didn't know what was going on. And I don't think she would ever cheat on me purposely. But dude, if you're blacked out all the time, like, who knows what's going on?
Shit's going to
It's
happen.
just scary.
You know?
And so we finally broke up. But I like I said, I still have a huge care for her. It's just, we dated for 4 years. It just didn't end up working out in the end.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know, maybe if you met at a different time, it would have been great. But
and she's great now. She's not an addict anymore, got a family. I'm so happy for her. So we both, you know, changed a lot. As for Ciroc Poppy, I don't know where he is.
What about T-Rex?
I don't know where T-Rex is either. So I actually, I know his, I'm not gonna say it, but I know his social media shit. So I've reached out to Ciroc Poppy, but I think he might be in prison because it doesn't look like his accounts are active at all. And I know someone did tell me he did 2 years after we had our falling out. He always had problems with guns, so he got another gun charge.
Guns will get you in there for a long time, especially once you're a felon. All you have to do is
he's
get
already
caught
a
with it. It's
felon.
over. Yeah,
I've seen him pull guns on people a couple times. He actually, dude, there's so many more stories in here that I can't even have time to tell. But there was one time he shot off his gun on accident in my apartment. It ricocheted and hit someone in the foot. They had to go to the hospital. He was always on
guns
pain.
being shot in your apartment.
He was always on pain patches, like the fentanyl patches. So he was like up all the time playing with, just doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
So that was the only time the gun shot off that I know of in my apartment. But
yeah, I mean, it sounds good that you're away from Ciroc Poppy if he's blacked out off fent patches shooting through the wall.
I was just hoping. I was hoping that he would also recover though, and we could do like these recovery stories together. That would be my dream,
you two on a podcast together would be insane.
Yeah,
That would be
if we could ever
unbelievable.
find the guy and
I
he's
mean,
sober.
maybe he's, you know, gonna get there at some point.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
there's
you
still
never know.
plenty of time left. You know, I mean, some people find it later than others.
Yeah,
you know,
but I have tried to reach out, so I've made an attempt.
When he gets out of jail, one day he'll see your DMs and he'll be like, "Holy shit!"
Either that or he'll see videos about it. He'll be like, "What?"
Yeah, he's gonna see your pinned reel that's like, "My dealer Ciroc Poppy," and he's gonna be like, "What the is this shit?"
Yeah,
Have you ever had
he's gonna
anyone
extort
from
me.
like back in the day that you talk about see your reels and react to them?
Yeah. So the girlfriend that I met in Miami that moved with me.
Felicia?
No, the one before that, the
Oh,
one that
okay.
cheated on me.
Yes.
One of those videos kind of went viral, and not only did she see it and reach out, her ex that she left for me
Oh no.
in Louisiana also saw it. But he reached out. It was the best message. He's like, "Hey, dude, saw your video. I'm in Baton Rouge still or whatever." He's like, "Thanks for taking her off my hands." Yeah.
That's always a great feeling when you
Yeah.
can connect with the other dude in that situation and be like, hey man, she did it to us both.
Yeah. But the good thing is this is 9 years. Like this took place in 2016. So I think like statutes of limitations are all gone on,
Yeah, of
on any
course.
charges. So and in the book I like change people's names and stuff too to protect them. So
That's exactly how I do it when I tell stories
Yeah.
about stuff. You just gotta be vague,
you do. Yeah.
you know?
So I never used Ciroc Poppy's real name or whatever. But yeah, so a few people have reached out, but I don't know what happened to T-Rex. I don't know where Ciroc Poppy is. I don't know what happened to Old Girl. Those three I have no idea.
Wow. Old girl. There's so many characters in your story. We need a movie, dude. That second script's on the way, huh?
No. Well, no, I want script. I would love for
You had
someone.
mentioned writing the first script for the movie, yeah?
I need someone to. I would love for someone to option my book or look at my script and help me with it. But yeah, my big goal with all of this is I would love to have a movie or probably a movie or series would be awesome. So that would be the dream with all of this. I think it could help people, but also be a pretty damn entertaining movie.
I think it would be a good watch for sure. For everyone out there watching at home that maybe hasn't followed you yet or hasn't tapped in with your book, where can everyone watching this get their hands on Manic in Miami or follow you?
Yep. So yeah, you can follow me at bipolar guy loving life.
I love that at so much. That's a great at.
I don't always, the reason I call it that, I don't always love life. I've been through a lot of shit. It's still hard with my felonies, but it's more of a choice. So I call myself that because I choose to love life. No matter what I'm going through, to spin everything in a positive way. That's what it's all about. So that's my at. And then my book is on Amazon. You can just look up Manic in Miami. It came out in June. It's doing really well. And there's a lot of stories that I didn't have time to tell. Obviously, it's like 300 pages. So there's plenty of stories.
There's a lot more to read up on here.
Yeah.
You know, everyone tuning in, go follow David on social media. Those will be linked in the comment section below. Is your book online like Amazon?
Yep,
or
Amazon.
anywhere?
Yep.
We'll have that
Amazon.
linked in the comment section as well in the pinned comment. So all you guys got to do is scroll down and click that link. Go check out his book. David, I got to say, this was an awesome episode. I always appreciate talking about mental health on the show. And I think, it's rare to find someone who's as open of a book as you are about it. So
yeah, this has been awesome. I've loved the interview. I think we probably went longer than I expected.
For
but
sure.
It's been fun. It's just been fun. Time's flying by.
Yeah,
so.
it was a great chat. I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story, and maybe we'll link up again soon in the future.
For sure. I loved it.
There's
yeah.
probably plenty more stories you have to tell,
Yep.
I would imagine.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for coming, man.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Everyone watching, appreciate you. Drop a like, drop a sub, go follow David, buy his book. See you later. And also, everyone who owns a company, sponsor us, dude. I had to sponsor today's episode. So hit my email. Deuces.
I moved a named Old Girl into my spare bedroom, ended up punching me in the face and helping steal my car. So when I was 26, I had my first major manic episode, and that's when everything changed. So I was whacked out on substantial substances, courtesy of my favorite dealer, Ciroc Poppy.
You moved Ciroc Poppy into your house?
Moved him into my spare bedroom, yeah.
With
She's in my room.
Of course.
Then he introduces me to David, which is this addict who tells me he's a lawyer.
So you think you've got an in-house legal team right under
I've got
your
a lawyer,
roof.
I've got
You got and everything you need right at your fingertips the moment you wake up.
This is where the crime stuff starts now.
Oh boy.
It was basically healthcare fraud. That year I made over $500K. Dude, there's FBI agents all over your office. So did some and I was like, I got to destroy the evidence. That's 3.7 million is what the government said my loss amount was.
It got even worse than this financially?
Well, when I buy the nightclub, I bought a nightclub later.
Oh,
and
God.
then
Yeah, we have a lot to get to.